Serving the color, smell, and taste of the fruit or vegetable. The freeze-dried food is then ground into a fine powder without adding any additives, fillers, or extracts. These powdered foods are then mixed in our proprietary blends and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped directly to our customers. Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Newsmax.
As I was aging, the pain in my hips was getting worse and worse.
I ordered Relief Factor for pain I was having in my
types of people. So we appreciate you having your coffee with us this morning, folks. New to the Street is next. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private blockchain companies, the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators, bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go. O'Neill Capital Advisors is focused on blockchain, medical cannabis, REITs, technology companies. The company is currently setting up an office in Singapore and doing a lot of SPACs with Asian investors as well. And with me is Dennis O'Neill, the CEO of O'Neill Capital Advisors. So great to have you back here in the U.S.
Thank you. I love being here.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about O'Neill Capital Advisors. What do you do?
Sure. O'Neill Capital Advisors, my background is over 30 years of investment banking experience. I've started two of the largest regional investment banks in Chicago, and then went on to run the SoftBank Investments E2 Capital office out of Chicago. So I've raised a couple of $1 billion in early stage capital. I've taken dozens of companies public. I have spoken as an expert and thought leader at 75 conferences globally. So, you know, we're focused on basically what we do is primarily is capital introductions. We have over 30,000 investors in our network. We also work as a merchant bank. So we have, and all of our investors are institutional or super high net or ultra high net worth individuals. So the idea here is that being able to help companies to be able to access capital that relationships that they wouldn't normally be able to access.
Mm-hmm. And we mentioned blockchain and medical cannabis and technology. I mean, that's your main focus. So how do you pick those companies, find those industries? Kind of explain that strategy.
Sure. Well, I've spoken at many blockchain conferences, technology conferences, and medical cannabis conferences. So we get to see hundreds of deals, almost every month. So basically what we look for is that we look for companies that have a management team with a track record of success, that they've been able to raise some capital to date so we can watch exactly how they've deployed that capital. We look for highly disruptive technologies because we look for large marketplaces or marketplaces that are growing very, very quickly, and then that they have a disruption, very, very disruptive technology to where that they would be able, if successful and being able to execute on the business model, that they will be, very, very valuable as a company.
And you mentioned moving your offices to Singapore. So
sure.
Why Singapore? Why Southeast Asia?
Well, Singapore, number one, is the gateway to Asia because they have a great government, they have a great legal system, they have the highest concentration of family offices in the world. So there's significant amounts of capital there to be able to access. As well as that, for early stage companies, they have grant programs, matching investor matching funds programs. They have a multitude of associations which will give you support for free as a early stage company. So we believe that is the platform that we can build from and be able to access the rest of Asia.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about business in Singapore.
Yeah, no,
so
it's booming.
Now, tell me about RCEP. Am I saying this right? Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership.
Yeah.
Explain what that is.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest reasons why that we're actually moving our offices into Singapore. It's the largest free trade zone in the world. It represents 15 countries, everywhere from Singapore, Malaysia, China, Japan, South Korea, Thailand, Vietnam, and many others. It encompasses about a third of the world's population, and it eliminates about 90% of the tariffs. So you're able to, what you're able to do is that you're able to trade freely, throughout this region. And one of the most important aspects of this is that, these countries, Asia is the largest population and the fastest growing economies. And it's the most undervalued, especially in Southeast Asia. You can find unbelievable value in these companies because historically they have not been able to access B and C rounds.
Interesting. And very young population, too, as I understand.
For sure, yeah.
So a lot of potential growth. And
yeah, it's booming for sure.
So what is your overall Asia strategy then?
The idea here for us is that the major problem right now is that you have multi-billion-dollar companies that have an Asia strategy if they're from the United States, or if you're an Asian company, you have a U.S. strategy. But once you get below that billion-dollar mark, many of these companies do not have an Asian strategy if you're in the United States. So what we're doing is that we're setting up subsidiaries in Singapore to access all the government programs that are available there. And then we're able to match them with investors, as well as that market opportunities for them to be able to grow their business in Asia. And we're doing the same thing for Asian companies, especially Southeast Asian companies, to where that we're introducing them to the U.S. markets, as well as that U.S. investors. And we're taking a lot of these Southeast Asian companies now. We'll be taking them public through a SPAC.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dennis. Great to see you again.
Yeah, so good to see you.
Yes,
Always love to be here.
And would love to interview you in Singapore sometime.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Let's do that.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Smart for Life is a global leading developer, marketer, and manufacturer of nutritional and related products. With me is CEO Darren Minton and also the chairman, AJ Cervantes. So welcome.
Hi, Jen.
And I guess let's just start with an overview of Smart for Life. So it's an interesting company name. What is it you do exactly?
So we are first and foremost in the health and wellness sector. We're committed to creating great products, nutritional products, supplements, vitamins, nutritional foods. We have a number of different brands. Our products range from capsules, tablets, to nutritional foods. We have a whole fabulous product line of nutritional bars, for instance, diet foods that are original. Smart for Life, when we acquired that company, we actually renamed the public company Smart for Life because we thought that spoke to the market and resonated in terms of what we do. So it's really a broad array of brands, manufacturing. We have two separate manufacturing facilities, one in Doral, one in Riviera Beach, California, and we're probably now about 60,000 square feet under roof between the two facilities. And it's just a broad range of terrific products with great brands.
Yeah. What are some of the brands? And can I buy them at a store?
Yeah. So the Smart for Life brand itself, you can buy in Costco, Walmart, We're expanding into other retail channels. We also sell extensively on Amazon. We're actually just part of a press release we announced about 2 months ago. Amazon selected us to be one of their launch products in Singapore. So that's fantastic. We're looking forward to expanding our sales in that region in Asia. And we're also selling aggressively direct to consumer. That's something that's been big during COVID. You know, people can't get into retail channels as much. So by buying directly on our website, we're able to help consumers out directly and fulfill to them directly. We also have a couple other brands that we manufacture for that are very large. We work with a company called Milk Dust, which helps women with lactating during the kind of problems with the baby formula.
That's right. Yeah, no, it would be helpful to a lot of people right now.
And we also work with Nickelodeon as far as their Paw Patrol band, which is sold in Walmart.
I know Paw Patrol. My kids are
all the
older
little
now,
kids.
but I do know them. Yeah. So you sold in the U.S. and Asia. Any place else globally?
So a lot of our products, as we were talking about earlier, we both are a contract manufacturer as well as some of our own brands. So we've got brands that we sell internationally, mostly in the U.S., in Asia as well. And then we also contract manufacture for a lot of different brands, both supplements, vitamins, as well as food products. So we sell in South America, North America, in both Canada, the U.S. and Mexico, throughout Europe, and also in Asia.
Yeah, no, it just seems like people are, and they're trying to prevent, you know, and just make them have more energy and just make themselves feel better. So I think that's, you know, a big macro trend that we're seeing. Now, I did see on your website you're looking at like a build strategy. Mainly, it sounds like through acquisitions. Right. Okay. So.
Yeah. So the structure in many ways is very formulaic. We only look for profitable companies to acquire. We look for those that, again, are complementary to what we're doing. We have a relatively standard formula, which is, depending on the company and what type of business it is under the nutraceutical umbrella, we'll pay 4 times to 6 times trailing EBITDA. We generally don't pay more than 50% cash. The balance is in a combination of a seller note and then stock in the public company. The value proposition for a seller is relatively simple. Many of these owners of these brands may have owned them 10, 15 years, for instance. They have a very successful brand that sells on Amazon. They're too young, as we say, to go to the beach, but yet they would like to have a liquidity event. They have the ability to take cash off the table. They have ongoing employment. We like to retain the DNA, as we say. They created a successful company. We want them to continue to run it. And then they also have an equity interest in an emerging growth public company. They get the benefit of the elevator ride, if you will, by taking a position in that public company. So it really, the value proposition for a seller is terrific. The ability to then bring that company into the overall fold. We've done 4 acquisitions in the last year. We have over $100 million in our pipeline of prospective acquisitions in various stages of negotiation. Agreements in principle could just be earlier negotiation. In some cases, we're moving toward definitive agreements. So it's really a very, part of the beauty as a consolidator is it's a very fragmented industry. There's lots of mom and pop companies that are very successful, 10, 20, 30 million in revenues, that work perfectly to come in under our umbrella, under the Smart for Life umbrella.
Interesting. And Darren, talk about the next 12 months. Say, like, what are your goals as CEO, and what do you want to do with the company?
So the next 12 months are going to be very aggressive. There's going to be, you know, sort of a hockey stick is what we talk about with the acquisition strategy. In the past, right before our IPO, we had several small acquisitions. Now it's going to be larger deals. So as opposed to doing 10 or $15 million revenue companies, the next acquisitions in the pipeline are 40, 50, some even 100 million in revenue. So you'll start to see a nice uptick in the size of our overall company. And that's how we're going to get to that 100 million in revenue that AJ was talking about in 12 months and the 300 million in revenue in 36 months. Some of those acquisitions we haven't identified yet to the public markets, but we've talked about that at some of the conferences we've been attending to. Now that we've just gone public, we're outside of our quiet period, and so we're going to be ramping up our awareness and communication to the street and letting people know everything that's going on with our company. A lot of companies went public when we did. It was right at the time of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So I think there was a lot of market turmoil. A lot of companies were affected by that, including ours and our stock. And so now we have a great base to build from as we continue to accelerate our acquisition strategy and continue to hit on those major milestones.
Okay. Very fascinating. Thank you so much, AJ and Darren, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SEKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SEKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SEKUR. Visit SEKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Soho Properties is a Manhattan-based, privately held real estate development and investment firm founded in 2003 by Sharif Al-Gamal, and the properties do include the Margaritaville Hotel in Times Square, as well as residential apartments. And with me to tell me more about Soho Properties is Sharif Al-Gamal. Great to have you here.
Good morning. Very, very excited to be here with you.
So let's talk about just your business in general, property development. You've had billions of transactions. So explain to me how the industry looks to you right now.
I think we are right now at an inflection point in the real estate markets globally, and we've obviously leapfrogged into the future with the advent of COVID and right now with inflation and interest rates, and so we're really at an inflection point where from our perspective at Soho Properties, we think this is one of the most important times in history to really start looking very closely at hard assets and real estate.
Interesting. And I mentioned you were founded in 2003, so you've lived through financial crisis, COVID, which must have had a huge impact. How did you navigate all of that?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think we were young children during the global financial crisis in 2008, and I think we got many big wounds in our vessels and in our projects, and we survived that. COVID obviously was completely unexpected, and we built Margaritaville during COVID, so we were able to figure out how to game the system in New York City when everybody else was stopped and sitting at home. I got infected with COVID really when it first came out. Okay. I had just come back from skiing in Vail, and after I got it out of my system, thank God, I was one of the lucky ones. I just came back to the office. I think I was the only person in my office on my block. I got my general counsel. I convinced him to come back, and within about a week, the last week of March of 2020, we reactivated our site in Times Square, and we brought several hundred people back to build the Margaritaville Resort. So we built it during COVID. Wow. And then we had the good fortune and success of also we work with equity and with debt in our projects, and we had a facility, a large debt facility that was maturing, and literally every single broker had come to us and said, you're going to need to figure out a way to restructure the debt with the existing lenders, or you're going to lose your asset. And my comeback was, there is no restructuring the debt. If we don't figure out how to pay them back, we're going to end up losing the assets. So we put on our thinking caps, and we ended up last year closing the largest hospitality financing in New York City. We put together about $320 million, right during COVID. So I think the Rockefellers built Rockefeller Center during a certain era in New York in the Depression. Soho Properties built Margaritaville and refinanced it during COVID.
Now, inflation, has that impacted you? Or what about like wage inflation and hiring people?
Absolutely. The markets are extremely competitive. But I think even before inflation, unfortunately, this generation, is gotten, I don't want to use the word lazy, but I think
they have different priorities.
They have a different work ethic. They want to work from home. I think they needed a recession to wake them up. I think that a recession the recession that we're having is important because it's really going to smack some of these kids and let them realize that they can't work from home, that the human interactions that we're having, you can't do that over a phone call or over a Zoom meeting or over a Google Meet meeting. It's, there's no substitute for that. It's challenging. I mean, it's just very challenging with the new mindset of the new generation. And I think that, the inflationary period that we're in also right now has just, further, it's like the perfect storm. It's like there's a storm that we're in the middle of, and we just don't understand. There's a lot of new things that we are all experiencing in all markets right now that are kind of interconnected.
Yeah, no, it definitely feels like there's some tectonic changes going on. I just don't know how it's all going to play out.
Right.
But Sharif, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Margaritaville's a great hotel, so
thank you. Thank you.
SEKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SEKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SEKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SEKUR. Visit SEKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Secure Private Data offers email, messaging, all kinds of secure ways of communicating in the workplace. And with me is the CEO, Alon Giahi, to talk about the latest hacks. It seems like every time we talk, there's something new, and we've got a crypto one to talk about this week, Harmony. And I was just kind of surprised because, crypto, the blockchain, was supposed to be pretty unhackable, but that's proving not to be the case. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, nothing is unhackable in the world, but the crypto hack that happened was in a wallet, and it's not the first time. I think they call it a bridge or a wallet. I'm not so proficient in crypto language, but essentially it means that blockchain, which is an amazing technology compared to what we've been using for the last 50 years for wire transfers and so forth, blockchain is not immune to hack, and it's also not scalable to the point that people think. So not only people have to suffer because of the crypto stocks are down 90% in many cases, now they have to deal with wallets that are hacked and even companies that can't let people their money out. So it's a kind of a disaster. But the hackers always know how to get your money.
Yeah, well, and there's really no recourse.
There's no recourse whatsoever, because I don't believe it's FDIC insured, if I'm correct.
I don't think so.
And even if it is, it's only up to $100,000 according to the bank charter. So it's just a complete disaster. I feel really bad for a lot of people who have quit certain job, worked in that industry, have put all their nest egg in it. So and there's billions of dollars in those wallets.
Yeah.
And it's the similar community. You got the hackers, the good ones, the white hat, and then the black hat, right? So they all know where to go to get that money.
Yeah. So, and let's talk about data breaches just in general, because we see so many of these. It's like on a daily basis. What do you know about the amount of economic damage that is caused by these data breaches?
Well, there was a study that was made that in 2021, between real damage and loss of opportunity, it's costing the global economy $6 trillion a year. And it's only going to expand from there. So it's important to try to protect yourself and, upgrade your software, buy new technology, secure your emails, all of that.
Yeah, and I think only about 24% of these people ever get their money back, right?
Yeah, I think there was a study, I think 75% of companies suffered a hack in the last 12 months or something like that, and only 24% of them can never get it back, or 42. I may be mixing my digit, but it's a high number, because if you're a business or an individual, but a business costs you millions of dollars if you're being hacked, and if you can't recover that data, that costs you a tremendous amount of money, and it affects your client base and your customer base. You could be sued. I mean, it's just the whole chain of events is like a domino that keeps falling. So it's very important to spend whatever amount you can to increase your security, to reduce your social footprint, and to really be careful.
Yeah. So what can people do to prevent these hacks from happening? And then I want to talk about how secure is different than what's already out in the marketplace. So let's start with what people can do. Watch their emails, I know, is the big thing.
Email is 94% of the hacks come through email, which means that somebody can watch you for 6 months at a time, and you wouldn't know it, and you make that one mistake, or you send that particular information via email, which we all do, and then they'll know exactly how to get to your system, or what kind of password you use, etc. Also, watch out for phishing. You know, I get daily almost in some of my big tech email, I get these things that here's an invoice, click on it, or, you know, and now there's going to be a lot of political issues, you know, there's going to be a lot of articles being sent to people, and people are going to click without knowing where this email comes from. So I would recommend that you watch. And as a business, there's something called business email compromise, BEC. Businesses are watched carefully now because they have money, they have assets, and they have a lot of data. So email is the first gate to trying to reduce that hack, and also reduce your social media footprint, right, if you can. And you know, treat your business like it's your bank account, or even more. Guard yourself, you know, with that information that you leak out.
Yeah, and secure is different because you don't collect data.
Yes.
Right, it's sell that. So people can reduce their risk greatly by using secure.
That's a very good point. I mean, the whole culture of secure, from how we store your data, how we treat our employees, etc., is privacy. That's like rule number one. It's in our DNA. We also don't data mine you, as you just rightfully pointed, because when a company data mines you, which all the big guys do, and they sell your data, that data is hosted by somebody else, and that other person may be hacked. Yeah. The other thing is we have our systems, like Secure Mail, for example, that uses Secure Send technology, which is a way to email anybody out there without sending that valuable information. You receive an email with a link, the recipient clicks, and they can use Secure Reply without having to buy Secure. So if you're a banker, a lawyer, an accountant, I mean anyone, you have your client base, they can Secure Send email to your customers any day. They can safely open, check all the attachment, and Secure Reply without that email being out in the open, because the whole transaction happens in our server. And the same goes with our messenger. Secure Messenger without chat by invite. You can chat with anyone in the world by sending them a text to open a tunneling system to chat with your customer or your partners.
Okay, thank you so much, Alon, for coming in.
Pleasure being here, thanks.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
GameSquare, with its flagship Times Square space, is launching a skills-based competitive gaming platform brand. And with me is the co-founder and CEO, Paul Kessler, to talk about GameSquare a little bit. So let's just start with what the company is, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you got where you are.
You almost said it better than I did, right? We're building a platform for people who game every single day to win cash through what it is they're doing on their phones and in person, gaming.
Okay, so if somebody's used to playing games, they can come there. This gives them an opportunity to make some money off of something they love to do.
Hopefully meaningful, life-changing amounts of money as we bring more and more people onto the ecosystem. The amounts of cash in the ecosystem should increase exponentially, and the amounts that people can win are going to be very meaningful and large.
So how did you get to your flagship space in Times Square? Kind of talk about the evolution of the company.
Sure. I've always loved the gaming business. I remember my first time as a kid going to Atlantic City, Vegas, Monaco, all these places, and just being drawn to the energy of gaming. And then looking out as a New York City real estate player for 10 years, just seeing that there's a lack of exciting things for people to do in Times Square. It's called the Times Square Shuffle for a reason, right? Everyone just walks around, looks, and has nowhere to go, right? So I was like, well, why don't we build something for people to do here in New York City, in Times Square, where they're already dedicating huge amounts of time, right? So that's how GameSquare came to be. It was like, let's bring something to the tourist market, to the local market. People can come in and have an amazing experience, play, and win money.
Yeah, and your target customer is just somebody, it's not like a professional esports person, it's somebody who's playing games just because they love to do it, and they're pretty good at it.
Absolutely, right? So they think they're good at it, right? And that's and what we're building is all for games of skill, right? There's two types of games in this world, games of chance and games of skill.
Okay.
Everything that we do is skill-based. Skill-based means that it's the outcome is predominantly determined by the skill of the person playing that game. So we're trying to bring people who have the belief that they have skill in something together, knowing that all of these games that we offer have a large amount of chance baked into the game. So literally anybody can walk into our space, play some of the games that we offer, and win the meaningful cash prizes that can be
Maybe I could even win something.
You could. It could be your day.
That skill.
There is chance in everything that we do as well.
What are some of the games that you have?
So it's a great question. We started to go to the marketplace and try and build out partnerships with third-party game developers. And then it dawned on us, well, why don't we build our own games and our own brand and really control all the walls around our garden? So right now we're developing multiple titles that look and feel like some of the largest casual games that are played digitally and mobilely. And we're developing our own version of those games under the GameSquare brand. Those are available in the Google Play Store right now. And as we build out our space in Times Square, all these games will be available for play in Times Square, all under the GameSquare brand.
Interesting. And do you have like food or entertainment or anything else associated with this? Or is it just gaming? Maybe someday?
No, there's everything in the space, right? Like we're trying to create a little bit of a wholesome environment, right? So yes, there will be food and beverage opportunities, retail merchandising, events on a daily basis. This is going to be like the new TRL of Times Square, almost like what we're doing here, right? We think that people are going to come to the space all day long, 24/7, flock to it for its sensory expanding elements for everybody.
So is Times Square your first location?
First location,
okay.
Yeah.
And do you look to expand then after that?
Well, yeah. Simultaneous with opening the flagship space in Times Square, we're launching the digital platform as well. So you can play both in real life, in person, in the Times Square flagship, and then continue your play journey with GameSquare through our application, which will all launch simultaneously.
Okay. I can see a Vegas location too. I'm just saying.
This is Las Vegas coming to Times Square, right? That's the opportunity here that we saw at the outset.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. Best of luck to you.
Thank you, Jane.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Stater is a lending platform for NFT assets, and now it has a new game, Houndrace, which is a play-to-earn blockchain racing game, and it brings the passion of hound racing into the metaverse. And with me is the CEO, Bogdan, to explain how Houndrace works exactly. So welcome, good to see you again, Bogdan, and tell me about Houndrace.
Hey, Jane. First of all, it's nice to be back on your show. So Houndrace is our new play-to-earn blockchain game where players compete with each other in exciting racing arenas and in a true multi-chain and multi-asset environment. With Houndrace, our aim is to deliver the best and the most diverse gaming experience to our users. And inside the game, players will be able to compete in a multitude of arenas and racing experiences, breed new generations, and also own arenas where the races take place. And as a player, you will have to, of course, own a Hound NFT in order to be able to join the race. For each race, all the players will pay an entry ticket. And all the entry tickets will basically represent the prize pool that will be distributed at the end of the race to the winners. Players will also be able to watch the race simulation in either 2D or 3D environments.
Oh, interesting. And when will it go live?
We've been working internally at Houndrace for almost a year now, and I have to say that the team did an amazing job in order to make everything happen. Currently, we are on public testnet, which is basically the last step before production, and we are building the last mile together with our community. Depending on the market environment, we are planning to go live on mainnet sometime this September.
And then how will Houndrace be incorporated into Stater, which is your company as well?
Yeah. Stater users will benefit from free means and other perks before the launch. After the launch of the game, we will have custom races with special Stater arenas for the Stater users. And also Houndrace NFT owners will be able to use their Hound NFTs as collateral for a loan on our Stater NFT lending platform.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And we've also launched Alpha Dune, which is basically the community hub for both Stater and Houndrace. So now we have the same big Discord community for both of the projects.
Interesting. So what's next for Stater in terms of development of the business?
We are currently working hard on the Byzantine update that will bring a bidding system and a new level of interaction between lenders and borrowers. And this update will be the intermediary step that will allow us to build a fully automated NFT lending experience. We want to be live with the Byzantine update in September this year as well.
And then just how do you see the crypto NFT market? It's been kind of a rough year for this industry. How do you see it overall? Do you think we've hit bottom? Where do you see it going?
We don't have like a price speculation. We don't actually think that we can know like where the market is going, but we think that even though the value of the entire market has dropped, we believe that the pace of innovation hasn't changed that much. And while this bear market was definitely due to come, we think that it also represents an opportunity for us to consolidate our strengths and focus on the long-term fundamentals. We think that this bear market cycle will definitely be a test of fundamentals for the entire NFT space, but we also think that the long-term prospects for Bitcoin and the crypto market in general remain extremely positive.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people in this space, and I would have to say I think that's the consensus. People are looking at this as a building a time, and they still really believe in the technology.
Exactly.
Okay, Bogdan, thank you so much for coming back, and best of luck with Houndrace.
Thank you, and thanks for your time.
SEKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SEKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SEKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SEKUR. Visit SEKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Welcome to Unstoppable Women Entrepreneurs. I'm Jane King, and with me is Rhonda Swan, who is also an Unstoppable Women Entrepreneur. And we've got with us another woman today, Kate McKay, high performance coach, consultant for men in high-level positions. You help corporate teams build confidence and work best in their organization. So welcome, Kate, and tell us more about your work and what you're doing exactly when you're coaching men with these corporations.
Yes, I love that. It's a great question. So I work predominantly with individuals and corporations, and as a high performance coach, a lot of times they come to me concerned around productivity and profitability. That's normally what people, I'm not feeling productive, our company isn't profitable, especially during these times. And so what I found is the high performance habits, there are 6. One of them is productivity. So we have to start with getting clear on what our message is and also our energy. Like, how are we using our energy physically, emotionally, and mentally? These are all key components. Our personal development and our professional development actually have to be matched. We can't just measure our performance by how successful we are. We also have to look at our personal development. And if there's a gap, our success is only going to be at that middle ground. So we really have to look at those habits. It's science-backed, outcome-based, and the system really works, and it's very exciting to see the outcome.
Interesting.
Love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, think about the companies that are going to change because of your work. Now, I do know that you recently launched a book, right? Claim Your Inner Warrior. And that does focus on men, part of the work that you're already doing right now in corporations. However, I think this one's a bit more special. When you talk a bit about your book and how that is being used in your work every day?
I appreciate you asking that.
Yeah.
So Claim Your Inner Warrior, it's especially for men, and it's dedicated to the warriors out there. And one particular warrior is my son, William, who passed away in 2017. So as his friends describe it, he ascended on his own accord. He took his own life in 2017. So after that, it's like, what is that meaning in my life after losing a child and going through that grief process? And I was writing a column, and I wrote an article about how men express grief and loss. And I was so moved by the number of men that reached out to me that said, Kate, you're talking directly to me. And I was like, oh. And I just felt like that is the reason why I'm here. I'm here to help men embrace their warrior. And that means personally understanding, giving them language to their emotion. Men are different in the way they communicate, and I believe that we need to validate that, and I celebrate that. It's a huge part of my work. I'm very fortunate to do what I do. I'm deeply grateful.
Wow, more than ever. That's really beautiful, Kate.
Love it.
You talk so much about confidence, right, in men, and you wouldn't normally think that maybe men have that confidence issue. Why is it that you focus so much on confidence, and where is that coming from, and how does that affect the productivity and the production in these men that you work with?
Well, confidence is essential. So people often will say, Kate, how can you be so confident? And it's because I've failed brilliantly. I've had so much failure, right? Anyone resonate, right? So, but what are the lessons that we've learned in our failure? And that takes courage to understand the lesson and get up. And as Les Brown says, one of my favorite motivational speakers, when life knocks you down, make sure you fall on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. And it really is that power of resiliency. And confidence and competence have a direct link. I mean, that's the psychology term of the competence-confidence loop. So the more confident we have, the more competent we are, and that comes over in all areas of our life, in our performance in business and our intimate relationships in all areas. So it's exceedingly important. Confidence is king. And if we can, and that is, you're 100% right, men oftentimes say, I really want to feel more confident. I'm like, right on, let's go. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah.
Right.
It gives you some confidence if you even pretend like it.
Right.
So Kate, tell me, are there any challenges in working particularly with men?
Well, I would say I laugh about that because oftentimes women are like, you work with men or you write a book for men? Like, people are confused. And so the first thing I say is I was a gym rat. I was in the gym in the 80s when no women were there. I mean, now it's very normal, like the gyms are full of women. But when I first started going into a gym, it was like the 10 to 20%. Women didn't lift weights. It was shunned. And I'm also one of 9 kids. I have 5 brothers. And so I'm used to that male energy. And I'm comfortable with it. It feels like Home Depot over like a bead store. I get anxiety in a bead store. So I'm just used to men. And I have to tell you this one short story. I had a friend and I was saying, all right, see you later. And he was going through challenges. And I said to him, I have your back, bud. I have your back. And he looked at me like this. And a couple minutes later, he texted me and said, Kate, no woman has ever said, I have your back. Right. And I was like, I was like, I was shocked, you know, and it just, that is the reason why I get up every day, is that everyone deserves to be seen. My work is in transformation. I'm committed to helping people be their best in all areas of our life. I'm deeply committed, and it's wonderful. And the results are massive. High performance is, again, outcome-based. It's science-backed, and I absolutely love what I do. And it makes a big difference in people's lives.
Thank you so much, Kate. What a great
Thanks for
story.
being here,
Thank you.
Kate.
SEKUR, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. SEKUR is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. SEKUR doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download SEKUR. Visit SEKUR.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Coastal Capital focuses on equipment-based lending, lines of credit, and working capital. I founded my company based on the belief of partnerships. If we didn't have partnerships and trust and relationships, nothing would move forward. We really like to get to know the core of the client. We want to know who we're working with. We believe in a story, and that's why we call ourselves a story time lender. Coastal Capital is financing you can trust.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to your Secure Privacy and Security segment. I'm Anna Berry, along with Alain Guillay, CEO of Secure Private Data. How you doing, Alain?
Hi, Anna. Can I say something? Happy Switzerland Day. August 1st is our national holiday, and we've been around for 731 years defending free speech and libertarianism. So it started with three little cantons that were defending themselves against the Habsburg family, and now it's a wonderful country. So happy Switzerland Day to everyone out there who values freedom of speech, neutrality, and basically privacy, which is what we're all about.
Amen to that. How do you celebrate in Switzerland for your day?
We have like a zillion things we do. First of all, we eat. That's really important. So we got barbecues. We have the cowbells going. We eat cheese. We celebrate. We have fireworks the night before and the night during. So it's kind of relaxing. You go out. 70% of Switzerland's population lives in the mountain in rural areas. So yeah, we celebrate. Good food. And, just enjoying the nice weather in Switzerland. And we eat good food too, obviously, and chocolate. Switzerland is, even though they're famous for chocolate, it doesn't mean they're the most consumers, but they consume 11 kilos, about 23 pounds of chocolate a year, and we're still quite healthy. It's got one of the longest lifespan of people on Earth. And, we really value people's privacy. We respect other people's privacy, and we will continue to do so. Thank God we don't have any EU regulation coming to Switzerland, which is kind of nice. So yeah, we just celebrate, just like on July 4th, you have your barbecue and your fireworks. It's not much different in Switzerland.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. And that's exactly what we're talking about on our segments here, the Weekly Hack. Specifically today, we're going to talk about the MFA and the 2FA. I recently tried to log in to a new health plan, and they asked if I wanted 2FA. And I always say yes, but I want to talk to you about that specifically today, because an article we're talking about, Microsoft researchers, they uncovered a massive phishing campaign that's happening a lot these days, and they can steal credentials even if a user has an MFA or the 2FA, and they did, and they attempted to compromise more than 10,000 organizations. So what can we do to make sure our data is private and secure?
So the thing, MFA is multiple factor authentication, and 2FA is two-factor authentication. A lot of time people will see we need to send you a text to verify this, and then you put the digits on the text, and that's like a way to verify that it's you. it's never fail-safe. First of all, most of that is the 2FA thing is done with phone. So when they send you a text and all of the phones have been compromised and phone numbers can be basically bought, you know, somebody can just fish and sniff you and all of these things and basically try to spy on you and find out what you're logging into. The email phishing, what happened is it basically tricks you to maybe give away your password or give away something, obviously. And that's when they have your, you know, your credentials. It's a way of stealing and tricking you to give away any kind of credential, whether it's a username or a phone number. And eventually the machines put two and two together. You know, we don't use 2FA. We're going to have to implement it because people are comfortable with that. Ideally, I mean, I know this from a decade ago, some scientists told me you should just put sentences, but sentences that don't have anything to do with your activity. So if you're like golfing, don't put anything related to golf. You know, obviously, if you're on social media and you have any content there, don't use a password related to what you put on social media. So it's really hard. I would use what we're trying to do. We needed to go to a company called Okta. They also got compromised, unfortunately. And basically, we're trying to get passwordless authentication. So you have biometrics and things like that. But to do that, that company that we wanted to hire, they basically use Okta single sign-on. So there's never a foolproof. So best thing, if you don't want to get, you know, have a PhD in encryption, just change your password every 90 days if you can, at least for the important stuff, and change them around and don't put anything related to your personal or business life. You can make, I mean, you can have the name of a mountain someplace with some digits and crazy characters, but you have to also remember your password, obviously. So 2FA is not 100%, MFA is not 100%. And you notice that these happens on big tech emails because they're already basically hacked. So if you use a big tech technology, you will be much more prone to these kind of attacks. I'm not saying if you don't use a big tech technology, it won't happen, but you can reduce the incident rate by over 90%.
Let's talk about the biometrics as well. How do you feel about face recognition, fingerprints? Does that keep us safe?
Yes, so there's a couple of ways. There's the ones that you have on your device. Suppose what we do, because sometimes people say, I don't want to put my fingerprint. Well, then you're going to have to remember your username and your password every time you log in. And we're lazy. We don't want to put 20 digits every time. Plus, on these phones, I mean, I have a crooked finger. I can type the wrong thing, and after 3 times, it will lock you out for brute force. So I tell everyone, at least when you buy SEKUR and you download the app after you bought it, just say yes to the biometric for the fingerprint. We don't even do full biometric. Because what's happening in our case, when you put your fingerprint, it's really the fingerprint is based on the device, it doesn't go to us. So we don't record any of it. And when you log out of the app, when you uninstall the application, all of that data is completely gone. So in this case, I encourage people to do their thumbprint or finger. I would use both hands, so you register both hands on your device. And it's the least intrusive way, unless you want to every time type in a username and a password, and you will get frustrated because sometimes you're going to type the wrong thing, and because it's hashed, you don't know which digit you type wrong. So it gets really frustrating, right? And you just have to accept a certain level, but that's from your device. So first, if you have SEKUR, for example, you type your username and password. The password needs to be a really complex one if you can. Then you register, and it tells you in Samsung, for example, it tells you, do you want to register in the Samsung password thing? I say yes, and then I put my fingerprint. iPhone has the same thing. As you know, I'm more prone to buying a South Korean made phone, as we discussed last time, because none of the parts are made in China. There were stories about iPhone way back. It happens all the time that the brand new iPhone, for the first 30 days, all of the iCloud data and photos went to China directly. So I don't want to scare people who have $2,000 phones, but I prefer a phone made in Korea where down to the microchip is made in a country that is not hacking the entire United States.
Right. Well, that's a topic of conversation that will continue in our next segments. Well, let's talk about some of your services and the products you offer and the privacy component. It is Switzerland Day where you are, but talk about how it's ingrained in your society and it's also ingrained in your products.
Well, our products, first of all, are stored, all the data. We have essentially a secure communication platform. So email, messaging, data backup, password, etc. We store everything in Switzerland in our own servers. So that's important. I was just with a lawyer a couple hours ago going over all of the data privacies and everything as we're uplisting, hopefully, to NASDAQ. And part of the due diligence was that. And she was amazed, basically. So we basically store everything in our own server. We don't use any third-party hosting. That's one. It's in Switzerland, which has the data privacy laws the strictest in the world. So what we do is we have secure email, for example, where you can send somebody a secure send email using secure send on the webmail or on our secure mail app, where the recipient basically receives an email from you, Anna, and then it says, Anna sent you something, click here to read it. And then they read it, they click on it. You can also add a lot of attachment, and they don't need to register to our system to do that. They don't need to create anything fancy, and they can secure reply. That guarantees you full privacy within the server environment, because the data doesn't go away to somebody else who has an encryption key and they have to decrypt. It's all within our own server, just like the old BlackBerry. With Messenger, we never ask for your phone number. So you register with a username and password. You can message someone that doesn't have secure as well. If you have their mobile or email, we offer now 25 countries where you can send a text to and say, hey, chat with me. So we have self-destruct timers. We have a lot of good stuff. We basically have data privacy in our blood. Every time we create a function, the first thing we do is we say, how can I make it that I don't want to give away that kind of info? How can I make it that the customer has all of the privacy, the best privacy as they use this function? So really, the culture of the company is privacy. Besides the fact, there's many things that we do, like people don't have access to this, don't have access to that. Our entire being of thought process is, how can I have the most privacy? If I create a function, I want to make sure it has privacy in mind. And of course, our user base, we care about our people. And yes, August 1st, Switzerland Day, and hopefully maybe Privacy Day one day. I should probably apply to the Swiss Confederation and say, hey, can we make August 1st Privacy Day as well? I'm going to try that one day. But yeah, so privacy is like ingrained in our constitution, and we produce these solutions for people to have the full privacy with no big tech data mining. Obviously, we don't data mine you. We have no access to your stuff either. So it's important to know that.
Great. And they're fantastic products, and always happy to be speaking with you because we're trying to help change the mindset of people. Privacy is really best understood when it's been breached, right? When you've had an attack against your data. So you're trying to prevent that for customers, everyday people like myself, or big businesses, big corporations out there. So you're doing good work.
It's like insurance, you want to buy it before you get robbed, and this is the same way. People are stealing your identity, so that's the best thing you can do, is get a product that respects that privacy and security. So, that's what we're all about.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, and go celebrate with your friends and family. Happy Switzerland Day.
Thank you. And as we say, Grutzli, so that means like hello. So
Grutzli.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us. Bye. Thank you for watching.
Big news from the app world. The Newsmax TV app has been downloaded more than 5 million times since Election Day. It's one of the most popular apps on both iPhones and Android devices, plus it's free. So go to your app store now and you'll get easy access to Newsmax.com for top news. Plus you can watch Newsmax TV anytime, anywhere. And remember to sign up for app notifications so you never miss a breaking news alert from Newsmax.
Download the free app now. Takes just seconds. Newsmax TV. Watch us anytime, anywhere.
I first learned about balance of nature almost 20 years ago. I worked for an optometrist for 16 years, and he was the biggest fan of balance of nature that I've ever seen. He recommended it to his patients. Balance of nature helps give you lots of energy, and it's good to have lots of energy if you're hanging out with your grandkids a lot. I take balance of nature so that I can be healthy for them.
Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code Newsmax.
Whenever news breaks.
A lot of destruction there. It was really the front lines in the battle.
And wherever it happens.
And humanitarian corridors opened up this morning.
We're trying to go rescue a 96-year-old lady that doesn't have anybody to take care of her.
They're using ingenuity. They refuse.
now, and it should. If they can do this to a former sitting president, they can do this to absolutely anybody in the United States. We've got 80,000 more IRS agents because of Democrats coming. If you think that this can't escalate quickly to all sorts of other fashions of things in the United States, that kind of rabbit hole is really where people get more and more concerned.
Yeah, great point there, Aaron. Bill, do you feel that this is sort of the tip of the iceberg and then could lead to a kind of a disintegration, really, of the respect for this high office?
I think we're seeing that in our country, sadly, and I think it's the product of both sides of the aisle really continuing to chip away at whoever's in power. I actually do agree with Aaron, though. I think the FBI and the Justice Department owe the American people some explanation of what's going on here to quell some of the fears and dispel some of the rumors, but I think that's going to come out. And I'd say this to you. I'm fearful of prosecutorial misconduct. I'm an attorney. I'm a politico. I've seen bad things happen, right? But I'm still a believer in the rule of law. I still believe in the institutions, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for some period of time, but they do owe the American public some explanation of what's going on, provided it doesn't in any way hamper their investigation. But that should come out.
Does this affect any of the elections, Aaron?
If we're talking about tonight, maybe it'll up voter enthusiasm to go out for day of Republican voters if you're looking in a state like Wisconsin. If you're talking about 2024, that's a forever away, so who knows at this point. But speaking to this evening and what could happen, especially when there are Trump-backed candidates and you do see Republicans tend to vote more in person on Election Day, this could push voter turnout up for some of these Republican primaries.
All right, Aaron Perini and Bill Caruso looking great as always better than me, which makes me a little jealous, but I'll deal with it, Bill.
No way.
You look great, Bob.
Well, thank you.
He always looks great.
I'm not Bill's level. Look at that. He's got a good look
It
on
is
there.
A good screen situation happening.
You've come from that world. You understand, Bill. Anyway, thank you both for being with us, and Bill for putting up with this, pressuring you on all this.
All right, and just a reminder, Newsmax will have coverage of the key primary races as polls close around the country. Join Aaron Perini, who you just saw, Tom Basile, and Rex Santorum. It all starts at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Newsmax. And coming up, it's primary day in America again. We've been telling you all day long, and as voters in Wisconsin, Connecticut, Vermont, and Minnesota head to the polls, we break down all the key important races we're watching right after this. Stay with us.
My name is Diane. I grow lots of pretty flowers. At a point in my life not too long ago, I was thinking I could never garden again. But then I found Balance of Nature, and it's just been a no-brainer ever since. I feel great. I have plenty of energy. I sleep well at night. With the Balance of Nature, I can work just as hard and as long as I really want to. It's just been a godsend.
Start today by going to balanceofnature.com and use discount code Newsmax.
I'm Steve Johnston, founder of Ideal Agent. With rising interest rates and inflation, there's a lot of uncertainty in today's real estate market. Now more than ever, selecting the right real estate agent can be the difference in tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket. Experience matters. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent who'll get you the best results for as low as a 2% commission.
With Ideal Agent, we were able to get one of the top agents in our area, and he made the process extremely comfortable. He was very professional, and his expertise just helped us immensely. And through that process, we were able to save $23,000.
We've helped thousands of home sellers and buyers get 5-star results, ranking us #1 in real estate on Trustpilot.
It really shouldn't be as simple as it is, because we just picked up the phone, called Ideal Agent, they put us in touch with our agent, and they handled everything.
There's no obligation or upfront costs. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Attention timeshare owners. Are you dissatisfied with your timeshare? Tired of the financial burden? Timeshare Defense Attorneys is the #1 law firm in the country, providing an affordable solution to cancel your timeshare with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and 100% client satisfaction guarantee. It works. It's legal. It's that simple. The consultation is free, so call 844-260-1234. That's 844-260-1234. Call now.
This is Frank. Frank is my best friend. The type of best friend who becomes family. I do my best to take care of Frank and give him everything he needs to be healthy and happy. I choose Jinx because it's made with real, clean ingredients, packed with premium proteins like organic chicken and powered by superfoods. I take care of him like I take care of me, because that's what family does.
I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I know the perfect mortgage company. Their rates are
probably way too high. You know what they say? Look before you lock.
No one says that.
Better says that.
Look before you lock.
Nailed it. Was good.
Well, it's another primary Tuesday. Today, voters in Vermont, Connecticut, and Wisconsin head to the polls with a special election happening in Minnesota. Our congressional correspondent, Kilmeny Dukart, is keeping an eye on some of these key races and joins us with a preview. Kilmeny, what do you have for us?
Well, once again, dueling endorsements from Trump and Pence, this time in Wisconsin's gubernatorial primary. The former president backing Tim Michels and the former vice president backing Rebecca Kleefisch. Both are hardliners against abortion and have disputed the 2020 presidential election results. Michels has proposed to dissolve the state legislature over the issue. Trump endorsed Michels, took to Twitter to attack his Republican opponent, writing this on Twitter in response to the FBI raid on Monday night at Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. He tweeted, "If the federal government can do this to a former president, imagine what they can do to you. People are right to be concerned. Rebecca Kleefisch is wrong to stay silent." Well, Wisconsin is a swing state, and we know that the winner of that Republican primary will go on to take on the current Democratic governor, Tony Evers. And looking at Minnesota's special general election to fill the late Congressman Jim Hagedorn's seat, Republican Brad Finstead, he's favored in the Republican stronghold. He'll face off against Democrat Jeff Ettinger, and the winner will most likely be sworn into Congress this week. Moving on to the Republican Senate primary in Connecticut, we have Themis Claridis, a socially moderate candidate who did not vote for Trump's reelection, and two candidates that have backed Trump, Peter Lumaj and Leora Levy. However, Trump's endorsement of Levy could turn this into a two-person race between Claridis and Levy in a defining moment for Connecticut's Republican identity. First polls to close will be Vermont at 7 p.m. Eastern, followed by Connecticut at 8 p.m., and then Minnesota and Wisconsin an hour later. But Washington's Congresswoman Jamie Herrera Butler just lost her primary. She was one of three candidates in last Tuesday's primary who had voted to impeach the former president. And of course, that adds to Peter Meyer out of Michigan, who lost his race as well.
All right, Kilmeny Dukart, thanks so much. And joining us now to discuss what to expect from Tuesday's primary elections, we're joined by political analyst Mark Halperin. Mark, welcome.
Good to see you both. Thank you.
All right, I know you've had a pretty busy day, so let's just get right to it. What are you expecting? Anything that you anticipate can be a big surprise tonight?
Well, if there's a surprise, I couldn't necessarily anticipate it, but what I will tell you is
very well said, Mark Halperin.
I think to me the biggest thing that could be a surprise is if Mike Pence's gubernatorial candidate in Wisconsin wins over Donald Trump's chosen candidate. President Trump's endorsed a business person who's more MAGA, and it's been interesting. The former lieutenant governor of Wisconsin, who Mike Pence has endorsed, she's been creeping towards MAGA land, taking more and more positions to try to deal with the reality that the Republican electorate there in this primary is going to be probably more disposed towards President Trump than she has been. But it'll be interesting to see. I think President Trump's candidate's going to win, but there would be a bit of a surprise, and I think it's not impossible that Donald Trump could lose a primary, and he's not lost very many when he and Mike Pence have faced off.
Mark, let me ask you about the effect of last night's investigation. Of course, this is like on top of many other things that have been going on that are anti-Trump. Do you think there are Republicans who are happy to see this unfold? Because there are other Republicans that are ambitious politically as well, and that they actually support. Because, to be honest with you, I've seen certain Republican voices out today. I mean, we've seen Senator Cruz, we've seen, but there are a lot of Republicans that are quite quiet on this, and you might expect them to be more vocal.
Well, I think the quiet ones are quiet for a couple reasons. One is, you're right. Some people, like Senator McConnell and some other Republican senators, I think would like to see Donald Trump no longer dominate the Republican Party. And so I think you see quiet in there from them for that reason. It's also the case that a lot of Republicans don't want to be opposed to the FBI. The FBI has become a villain in the minds of President Trump and some others. But I think you see folks who don't want to take that posture until they know more.
Yeah. That's interesting. So how do you think this affects the 2024 election? There are a lot of people that feel like it's just a matter of days now that Donald Trump will say, OK, I've had it and I'm going to jump in. Is that the case? And then we've also seen some people say, well, if this was an overreach, it's going to hand the 2024 election to Donald Trump. Long time between now and then. But what are your thoughts as a skilled and knowledgeable and experienced journalist?
Wow.
Or also known as a guy with a Ouija board. Look, I thought Donald Trump was going to run and be the Republican nominee before yesterday. I think this supercharges that. He put out a video today that, if you're a student of Donald Trump, I recommend. It's basically a message to run against the Biden record. It doesn't mention January 6th or the election being, quote unquote, stolen. It is simply a critique of the conditions in the country before Joe Biden was president and now. And I think it's extremely powerful. And of course, it's not a rally, so they could edit and control what he said.
Right.
Bob, you know a thing or two about your work being edited and videotaped. Once they get it,
or that people wish they could. Yes.
Once they get it in the edit room, they can make you say whatever you want. So I still think most Republicans would prefer he not announce. But I bet he's raising a lot of money today. And you've seen, with few exceptions, people like Youngkin of Virginia, DeSantis of Florida, they've come out very hard in support of, or in opposition to, the FBI search of Donald Trump's property. And I think this is consolidating folks. It takes a lot to surprise me. I've been surprised by the level of energy on Twitter and elsewhere in stark, extreme emotional opposition to what the FBI did. And that works to Donald Trump's benefit because that's his sweet spot.
Yeah. All right, Mark Halpin, I can see that surprise written all over your face. All right, thanks for being with us. Well done. All right, Ed. Still ahead, the FBI raid of former President Donald Trump's home is unprecedented, historic. But why did it happen now? We take a look at the timing of the raid. That's next, right here on American Agenda.
Wish you could get the feeling of a relaxing foot massage just by walking around? Now you can with new Skechers Massage Fit footwear. The unique Wave technology is designed to gently massage your foot with every step and are machine washable. Keep your feet happy all day long with new Skechers Massage Fit.
I served the United States Air Force for almost 11 years. I was fit, I was doing my duty. Next thing I know, I'm paralyzed. And I was told I'd never walk, breathe, eat, or talk ever on my own again. Depression kicked in pretty bad. I contemplated suicide. If I had the ability to move my arm and rip IVs out, I know I would have done it.
Now is the time for healing and recovery, but many of these wounded service members can't do it alone. They need your help, and they need Wounded Warrior Project.
Wounded Warrior Project events are therapeutic. When they told me I was gonna go out skiing, I didn't believe them. I'm paralyzed. They're like, no, they've got an adaptive program where you can get in this sled and go down. I was like, awesome.
At Wounded Warrior Project, we provide free programs and services that can change a person's life forever.
In the time that I was a part of that program, I changed from a mono ski to standing up and skiing on my own.
You ready, bro?
And that's when I started to realize that every time I would push myself, my limitations would get higher and higher and higher.
Your gift of just $19 a month can make a lasting difference in the life of a warrior and their family.
After being introduced to adaptive sports and Wounded Warrior Project, I got married, gained a beautiful daughter, had 2 children. Wounded Warrior Project has changed everything.
Please join Wounded Warrior Project with your gift of just $19 a month. And when you call or go online, we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket as a reminder of the difference your gifts are making and as a way of saying thank you.
Your small donation, your big donation, anything that you give, it changes lives. Because without you, I would not be where I'm at today.
Please call or go online right now.
I don't know where I would have been without Realtor.com.
I was able to find a house in my price range.
The mortgage calculator is a lifesaver.
I just put in my info and it shows me homes that I can afford.
I learned that I could have been looking for homes sooner.
Get started on Realtor.com right now.
I'd like to take a moment to address my fellow veterans, because I know so many of you have served our country honorably. One of the benefits that we as a country give you as a veteran is the eligibility for a VA loan for up to 100% of your home's value. If you need cash for your family, call New Day USA. With automatic authority from the VA, we can say yes when banks say no. Give us a call.
1-844-900-3696.
Today we're going to see who can put on their shoes the easiest. Phil with regular shoes, or Claire with Skechers new Easy Slip-ins. Go! Done! Skechers hands-free slip-ins go on easy and stay on. Let's check on Bill. Try new Skechers slip-ins.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation was founded in 1908, and in its over 100 years of existence, the FBI has never executed a search warrant on a former president's home, well, until yesterday.
Yeah, to talk about this situation from a historical perspective, Reagan biographer and presidential historian Greg Shirley joins us. Craig, I'm just fascinated by this. What is your take on it?
Oh, Bob, this is unprecedented, and it's fearful, and it's scary, and it's all those things rolled into one. We're in uncharted waters right now. We haven't had this type of corruption on the part of the federal government for many, many years, and I mean that when I say the corruption. We're sitting here, and if you want to sum it up, we're the good guys, and they're the bad guys. And despite Biden's protestations that he wasn't involved, you'll never convince me that his filthy fingers weren't involved in this. This is totally unprecedented. It's very rare that they look at a congressman. It's unprecedented that they look at a president. And even so, when there was a president they were investigating, like Richard Nixon, they had lawyers who would do a sit down, and they would exchange information and exchange data, and a compromise was meted out. This was to march into Donald Trump's home and take papers without his knowledge or approval is just downright scary, Bob.
Yeah, and Craig, so you're saying that you really think there should have been other steps that were attempted before they went full on raid of a former president's personal home.
Most definitely, and we've always done it before. There's always been a process. That's why we have what we call the rule of law in this country. The reason we set up the rule of law and the reason we set up the Constitution was because this is the very act and acts that the British government undertook against the American colonists, which provoked us into the American Revolution. And then we set up a constitution to prevent this type of thing from ever happening again, as it was happening under the British. Look, the British ran roughshod over America. They would billet soldiers in homes without permission or approval. They would steal papers. They would close down legislatures. They would impose taxation, the intolerable acts. So many other, the Stamp Act, sugar taxes, so many other taxes and impositions on the American people, just as our national government is doing today. Mm-hmm. We are close to a boiling point in this country.
We even had a special counsel, Ken Starr, back during Whitewater for Clinton, a Democratic president. Okay, here's going to be the argument on the other side, Craig, is this is a legal investigation conducted by the DOJ, taking the proper steps, and it culminated, at least last night, in a raid or a search of the premises.
Yeah, I know, Bob. I don't buy it. And you don't buy it either. There was no process. There was no procedure. There was no thought out system of, what we used to call checks and balances going forward. Look, Al Capone had more rights in his trial than Donald Trump did. This is, again, as I said before, this is totally unprecedented. This is very scary times. These are very scary times.
Do you think Biden knew?
Yes, without a doubt. Biden knew. The Attorney General knew. Right down the line. Ray knew. Right down the line, they all knew. This was a coordinated. You can't keep. Look, there were how many FBI agents? 30, and you can't pull that off without massive.
Why go to a local magistrate? Is what I'm wondering, Craig. I mean, if you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. But they decided to use the federal government for a minor accusation of, let's face it, a violation of the Presidential Records Act. It's like a filing mistake. You might as well, arrest a filing clerk.
Yeah, and they often negotiate over. Well, I want this, or I want that, or I took that, but that's yours, and that's. Sure. Craig,
we've had presidents abuse power before. Abraham Lincoln did, John Adams did, but nothing as unprecedented as what Joe Biden did yesterday.
All right, Craig Shirley, thanks so much for your insight.
You bet.
And we'll have much more on the raid of former President Trump's home when Kimberly Guilfoyle joins Spicer and Company to discuss. That's coming up at 5 p.m. right here on Newsmax. Make sure to tune in.
Yeah, coming up. Hanging up her racket, Serena Williams gets ready to walk away from the world of tennis. We're going to take a look at her extraordinary career next.
Right now, someone could be listed as the owner of your home and stealing thousands of dollars of your hard-earned equity.
Anybody who owns property should worry about home title theft. There's no other crime that is so easy, so quick, and so lucrative.
Your home, your equity, and your peace of mind can all be stolen in one fell swoop by home title thieves like Matthew Cox.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house. Nobody thinks that.
Believe it or not, a single-page document is all it takes to transfer proof of ownership out of your name.
People think, well, there's a whole huge process, but the truth is, it's a one-page document.
But it still must get through one final barrier, the county clerk.
When someone comes in with a fraudulent deed, if it's notarized and all the spaces are filled in, we by statute have to accept it. We cannot give it back to them and say, we know this is fraudulent, we're not going to file it. That's against the law.
It's a false sense of security. It's not real.
Bottom line is, yes, it happens, and we can't stop it from happening, and it only takes once for it to sting you, and it's a very sad thing to watch.
You've put your love into the house, and all of a sudden, it might not be yours. It's a devastating crime.
For pennies a day, Home Title Lock will monitor your title nonstop, alerting you to suspicious activity.
If you can get a warning notice that this first step has happened, you can stop the rest.
Meet Terry. He signed up for Home Title Lock and was immediately alerted to suspicious activity.
So I received a report and saw, hey, I have a lien against my property that I didn't know about. We got it fixed right away.
And if you call in the next 15 minutes and mention promo code LOCKIT, you'll receive your first 30 days absolutely free.
What would it do to your life if you lost your property? I mean, there's no price you can put on that.
Go online or call now, 1-800-938-4497.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I want to give each and every one of you one last chance to get your very own MyPillow Percale bed sheets. Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code, and you'll get the lowest prices ever. For example, you get my best-selling queen size, regular $89.98, now only $39.98. Percale is a type of weave that gives you that cool, crisp feel. These bed sheets are available in a variety of colors. They're durable, and they come with deep pockets that fit over any mattress. They're absolutely amazing. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen now. Use your promo code to get my king size, split kings, or California kings for only $49.98. Queen size and RV queens, only $39.98. Full size for $34.98, or twin and twin XL for only $29.98. We have limited quantities, and once they're gone, so order now.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented the precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 70,000 procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
It had to come sometime. Well, today was a surprise announcement from the world of sports as 23-time Grand Slam champion Serena Williams says she will retire after the U.S. Open.
Arguably the greatest woman to ever play the sport of tennis, Serena had this to say in her exclusive cover story in the September issue of Vogue magazine. I'm here to tell you that I'm evolving away from tennis toward other things that are important to me. A few years ago, I quietly started Serena Ventures, a venture capital firm. Soon after that, I started a family, and I want to grow that family.
Yeah, joining us now to discuss her legendary career, that is CBS sports analyst Doug Bell. Doug, tell me where Serena ranks. Number one as a tennis player, and number two as a kind of a cultural icon.
Well, Bob and Katrina, I mean, this is something. Serena is the greatest of all time. We throw that around a lot in sports, right? And Michael Jordan and Tom Brady in team sports. When you talk about individual sports, in golf, you have Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. And certainly in women's tennis, I mean, it goes back to Margaret Court, Billie Jean King, Chris Evert, Martina, Navratilova, Steffi Graf. But what Serena Williams has done in her magnificent career, following her sister Venus, by the way, who set that bar pretty high as she came onto the scene. And remember, they grew up together. Their father, Richard Williams, out in Compton, California, came up with a dream that his two daughters were going to become the two most famous tennis players of all time. I mean, what a story that is, right, guys? But Serena took that bar.
They should make a movie. I bet it could be Oscar worthy.
Yeah, it would make a great movie, right? I mean, guys, she is incredible what she's done. She raised the game. Listen, she's bigger, stronger, faster than any woman in the history of the game. And so that women all around the world had changed their training skills. How am I going to compete with Serena Williams, right? And then on top of that, African-American women, young women in the United States, we're talking thousands and thousands, suddenly became intrigued with tennis thanks to Venus and obviously Serena Williams. Women of color all over the world.
I remember the father, Richard, is talking early on with Venus, and people would say, she's unbelievable. And he said, well, she's got a sister that's better than she is.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting to Bob's point where she really has this reached cultural icon status. Yes. Interesting, the news, of course, of her retirement, not broken on the cover of Sports Illustrated, but it's broken on the cover of Vogue's coveted September issue spot. She has transcended sport, again, to become an icon for women around the globe. Here's something she also said in that article. Believe me, I have never wanted to choose between tennis and a family. I don't think it's fair. If I were a guy, I wouldn't be writing this because I'd rather be out there playing and winning while my wife was doing the physical labor of expanding our family. Maybe I'd be more of a Tom Brady if I had that opportunity again, breaking boundaries all the way around. I read, Doug, that a young athlete said, Serena's biggest accomplishment is not her wins, but her legacy. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, Katrina, absolutely. She has such style. And if you read that today, what she released in Vogue magazine, it was so Serena, right? And let's keep in mind, she turns 41 years old this month. And for a tennis player, that is ancient. And to think that she has been the best in the world for almost 2 decades, guys, it's a phenomenal run. And listen, there's a lot of great ones, and we named them earlier, but she is the best of all time, and no one will ever surpass what she did and what she has accomplished in the games, not only on the court, but growing the game off the court. It's truly remarkable her career.
With extra pressure also being African-American, because the two of them, the Williams sisters, came along. And, you know, when they lost, they didn't always say the right thing because they didn't like losing.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of pressure on them. And over time, of course, they, like anybody else, as they mature, dealt with things differently. But they had that added burden that others didn't have.
There's no question about it. And the other intriguing story is, remember, Venus was winning the Grand Slams early.
Yes.
And then suddenly Serena and Venus started meeting in the Grand Slams. And there were stories that Richard was telling which sister to win, because Serena was winning a few here and there, but I don't know if that actually happened. All I know is Venus Williams changed the game. Serena took it to a different level, a level that it's never been before. And women's tennis is incredibly strong right now because of those two young women. Listen, Serena, I love her to death. I think she's got style, flash, pizzazz. She's beautiful. She's a mom, and she loves being a mom. And I think when you wrap it all up into this incredible package, what an incredible woman, female athlete she is. And now she's a business tycoon, rich beyond her
I'm glad you said that. She quietly started a venture capital firm, which, I mean, I think it'll be exciting to see what she does next. As you said, only in her early 40s. So she has a whole additional career ahead of her.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt, guys. Listen, everybody wants to rub elbows with greatness, so her business career will be just as successful or more so.
Very well said. All right, Doug Bell, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys.
And before we go to break, check this out. Alana S. spotted Newsmax at Spectrum Paint in North Carolina. Hey, if you're nearby, make sure you stop by to say hello to our friends at Spectrum Paint and thank them for carrying Newsmax live for their customers. And if you spot Newsmax on at a public place, wherever you may be, make sure to snap a pic and send it to us at ispottednewsmax.com. And guess what? You might end up right here on air. Coming up, the pizza wars are on.
Yeah, we'll talk about where it's going on after this.
It's delicious.
A liberty-loving American takes on Washington, Hollywood, and the whole media establishment. He's Chris Salcedo. Join his fight. Tune in to the Chris Salcedo Show every weekday afternoon on Newsmax.
Did you know color is vital to your health? I'm not talking about the color of the walls in your house or your car or your clothes. I'm talking about the color of the food you eat. A colorful diet is a part of staying well because many nutrients are color. The antioxidant lycopene is the red pigment in tomatoes and pink grapefruit. Chlorophyll is excellent for balancing pH and cleansing the body. It's the green in kale, spinach, and broccoli. Resveratrol decreases inflammation, and it's the purple in grapes and berries. Eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables provides your body with diverse chemistry it needs to heal itself and stay well. Eat the peelings of things like apples and carrots and cucumbers. Balance of nature is whole produce. It contains all the vital parts in balance. Color, taste, and smell keep you well, and that's what you get with Balance of Nature.
Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code Newsmax.
Are you over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days? I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. Call now for this free book on maximizing your income in retirement. Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers from leading financial firm J.D. Mellberg. That's right, free. This book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now, because we're about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known truths we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity, and it's free. Call 800-851-4545. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report. We researched numerous products and summarized rates and benefits of annuities, all from Silac Insurance Company. Call 800-851-4545. That's 800-851-4545. Call now.
I'm Steve Johnston, founder of Ideal Agent. With rising interest rates and inflation, there's a lot of uncertainty in today's real estate market. Now more than ever, selecting the right real estate agent can be the difference in tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket. Experience matters. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent who will get you the best results for as low as a 2% commission.
With Ideal Agent, we were able to get one of the top agents in our area, and he made the process extremely comfortable. He was very professional, and his expertise just helped us immensely. And through that process, we were able to save $23,000.
We've helped thousands of home sellers and buyers get 5-star results, ranking us #1 in real estate on Trustpilot.
It really shouldn't be as simple as it is, because we just picked up the phone, called Ideal Agent, they put us in touch with our agent, and they handled everything.
There's no obligation or upfront costs. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Attention timeshare owners. Are you dissatisfied with your timeshare? Tired of the financial burden? Timeshare Defense Attorneys is the #1 law firm in the country, providing an affordable solution to cancel your timeshare with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and 100% client satisfaction guarantee. It works. It's legal. It's that simple. The consultation is free, so call 844-260-1234. That's 844-260-1234. Call now.
So it looks like Italy, the country, might like their own authentic pizza over American fast food pizza. I mean, I don't know. I think I would too. Domino's reportedly closing its 29 stores in the birthplace of pizza. I mean, I'm shocked that Domino's even thought they would be able to do business in
I
Italy.
know, you got to respect that, but they had longer range plans. They thought they were going to be able to do more, but obviously they can't. Why would you think you could go into Italy and do that, except people love pizza so much they'll even eat your pizza?
Well, no. I mean, I think that's absolutely silly. Not a good business decision. But,
tomorrow, the CEO of Pizza Hut will join us. Kidding. Bye.
It's 4 o'clock in Manasquan, New Jersey. It's 2 p.m. in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax. The enemies of freedom have made their move. How will real Americans respond? I will detail the response and my thoughts on the unprecedented raid of President Trump's home coming up in the preamble. But first, here's a look at your top stories. The witch hunt continues. That's from the very beginning when Mr. Trump went down that escalator. The deep state / permanent Washington has been gunning for him, and it continues to this day. In the meantime, America's adversaries are watching what's going on in Washington, D.C., and when they're not congratulating Joe Biden for attacking American businesses, they seem to be laughing at Joe Biden and the corruption that is on display for all the world to see. And that brings us to the FBI. The FBI corrupted. That's our focus in tonight's preamble. Americans know that something isn't right with the federal establishment. Under socialist rule and a timid, weak GOP, our own government has been turned against us. It has grown beyond the consent of the governed. Instead of protecting our rights as articulated under the Constitution, the government is now committed to stealing the individual rights of every American. According to a Trafalgar poll, our government has earned Americans' distrust. Voters say the federal bureaucracy is too big and is focused on pushing a political agenda rather than serving all Americans. Some of the specifics of the poll reveal that 63% of Hispanic voters agree that agencies like the EPA, the CDC, and the IRS are too large and they only serve their own political interests. Meanwhile, 55% of independents and 90% of Republicans agree that the government has grown beyond the consent of the governed. In contrast, 73% of Democrats believe federal agencies are doing just fine, effectively serving the American people. Now, Democrats likely support the totalitarianism on display in the federal government because their side is using our tax dollars and the federal establishment to take out the Democrats' political opposition while simultaneously protecting Democrats when they're found to be breaking the law. Still, patriotic FBI agents have come forward to members of Congress to spill the details on how the FBI's leadership has illegally gone left-wing, telling Senator Chuck Grassley that the FBI downplayed negative information about Hunter Biden and other high-profile Democrats. Senator Ron Johnson, hearing from some of the same whistleblowers, has also pointed out how being a Democrat in America these days is a get-out-of-jail-free card and protection against being held liable under our laws. Meanwhile, the FBI has been in possession of the Hunter Biden laptop for 4 years, and according to published accounts, is looking for a way to let him off the hook. The activities contained on the laptop indicate the current U.S. government is compromised by foreign enemies like China. Hunter is implicated in a massive influence peddling operation, breaches of national security, and various violations of drug and firearms laws. The FBI is quiet on that. The treatment of the GOP by the corrupt FBI leadership is quite a different story. Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, Rudy Giuliani, Peter Navarro, and countless others have been treated to pre-dawn raids, shackles, squads in full tack gear, even tip-offs to CNN, so they can be there to show pictures of how dangerous it is to oppose the ruling class in America. And the ruling class is dangerous to law-abiding people, as they now have their new class of enforcers, the FBI. And that leads us to the unprecedented raid of President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. For those of you educated by GovEd, unprecedented means that it's never happened before. And there's a good reason for that. This move threatens to permanently entrench division in our country. Only those who wish to pit American against American selectively enforce the law based on party affiliation, as the FBI appears to be doing. The FBI chose August 8th as the day of their raid. It's the day Richard Nixon resigned. The symbolism and intent by the FBI is hard to ignore. Reports indicate that the FBI was searching for official documents that President Trump was accused of taking from the White House after he left office. That is why a small army of agents came to Trump's home while he was away in New York and reportedly seized 15 boxes of items. According to reports in left-wing rags, President Trump is accused of inappropriately taking a cocktail napkin, a phone list, charts, slide decks, letters and memos, even a birthday dinner menu. Oh, the humanity. Contrast that with the conduct of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Under Barack Hussein Obama's regime, Hillary Clinton illegally conducted all of her official business on a homebrew server, trafficking in classified information, being hacked by at least 5 foreign powers, deleting 30,000 of her emails using BleachBit software. And the response from the corrupt FBI was, quote, no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case against Clinton for those emails. Hillary was the correct political party, after all. It seems the stench of James Comey, Andy McKay, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page, Bruce Orr and his wife, and others are still stinking up the halls of the DOJ and FBI. Senators Grassley and Johnson are joined in their concern over a compromised FBI by Senator Ted Cruz, my senator. The FBI raiding Donald Trump is unprecedented. It is corrupt and an abuse of power. What Nixon tried to do, Biden has now implemented. The Biden administration has fully weaponized the DOJ and FBI to target their political enemies. And with 87,000 new IRS agents, they're coming for you too, says Senator Cruz. Congress must demand answers. We need hearings, says Senator Cruz. We need subpoenas. Dems in charge will refuse, but the American people deserve to know why Biden is using the FBI as his political enforcers. Tin pot dictators do that, but that's not how America works, says Senator Cruz. President Trump also reacting, quote, these are dark days for our nation. As my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents, nothing like this has ever happened to a president of these United States before. After working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. It is prosecutorial misconduct, the weaponization of the justice system, and an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024, especially based on recent polls, says Trump, and who will likewise do anything to stop Republicans and conservatives in the upcoming midterm elections. President Trump went on to say, quote, I stood up to America's bureaucratic corruption. I restored power to the people and truly delivered for our country like we have never seen before. The establishment hated it. Now, as they watch my endorsed candidates win big victories and see my dominance in all polls, they are trying to stop me and the Republican Party once more. The lawlessness, political persecution, and witch hunt must be exposed and stopped. I will continue to fight for the great American people, says President Trump. There are solutions to beat the corruption that has now infected the Washington bureaucracy and threatens the existence of our blessed nation. Americans can unite under the Constitution. As the poll I showed you at the beginning of the segment suggests, even 27% of Democrats find the actions of permanent Washington to be un-American and unacceptable. If we unite behind our common bonds in the Constitution, the infestation of self-interested crooks in D.C. will wither and die. Also, as stated, there are FBI agents who are trying to expose the political corruption in D.C., and they live in the various states. Now, I am no politician, or am I a lawyer? I don't even play one on TV. I'm not sure what I'm about to propose is even legal, but it appears our own government doesn't obey the law anyway. How can I be accused of any violations of law by those who don't obey the laws themselves? I propose that all responsible state governments declare the leadership of the FBI has gone rogue, and as a result, deny the Bureau the ability to operate in the various states. Further, I suggest those states open your law enforcement divisions to the good men and women of the FBI. Further, I implore those FBI agents who reject what the DOJ has just done, what the FBI has just done, targeting the Democrats' political opposition for select harassment and persecution. Those FBI agents who are real Americans and who reject the politicization of our Bureau, I ask you to resign and seek employment in the various states that place a premium on the equal application of law, regardless of political affiliation. Further, I suggest the states withhold the requisite funding from the federal government so that the states can pay those agents who will not surrender the justice system to left-wing politics. Now, let's get to our first guest, former legal counsel to President Trump, constitutional law attorney and Newsmax contributor Jenna Ellis. Jenna, it's fantastic to see you. You know, until we see the warrant and the warrant application, do we really know the gravity of the abuse of what has just happened?
We really don't know, and there has been so much speculation, Chris, back and forth about whether or not this raid was justified, and it's largely turned on political bias. Of course, the extremes on both sides are rushing to either the defense of the FBI or the defense of President Trump, and the only thing that we do know for sure is, as you said in a spectacular opening, the FBI is absolutely corrupt. I mean, let's not forget, this is the agency that has perpetuated the Russia collusion hoax, that used a fake dossier in order to lie to the FISA court to spy on Americans. They're the same that have perpetuated so many other misabuses and abuses of the law. And one other thing I would point out is that while everyone is saying that this is completely against President Trump and this is an abuse of power, there is a section that we're overlooking, which is in United States Code 18 that talks about the custody and control of documents. This is unrelated to the Presidential Records Act, but says in that section that anyone who violates this particular provision of federal law, it forfeits their office, their federal office, and is unable and ineligible to ever hold public office and federal office again. And so this is all about, it appears, just to keep President Trump from running again. And we saw the abuse from the Democrats of the 14th Amendment. We've seen the abuses otherwise. So regardless of whether or not this is a pretext or it was justified, I guarantee the Democrats are simply trying to disqualify President Trump from office. And that should concern every American, regardless of party, because I don't want a bureaucrat in Washington telling me who I can and can't vote for, regardless of party.
Now, you took me right where I wanted to go. Thank you, first off, for reminding me about the FISA lie, that the FBI has already lied to the FISA court, which is completely unacceptable, and they did so, again, many believe, out of political considerations. So I want to point out that the left-wing protesters, even the ones who threatened to assassinate a Supreme Court justice, were in violation of 18 U.S. Code 1507. The FBI and the Department of Justice did not enforce that code. Then, as you just alluded to, 18 U.S. Code 2071, which makes it a crime if someone who has custody of a government document or or records willfully and unlawfully conceals them will forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. Even though we don't know the details of the warrant, if Garland and the FBI leadership are enforcing this when Hillary got away with far worse, and Trump is accused of taking napkins and dinner menus and stuff like that, Americans can plainly see that the leadership in D.C. is completely corrupted just by using the examples we just outlined, yes?
Absolutely. And of course, this would give rise to a constitutional challenge because with respect to the office of the president, the Constitution specifically outlines the qualifications, and it doesn't allow for federal law to add or amend to the qualifications for a president. And so this would set up a huge legal, unprecedented challenge to the Constitution. But this is what the Democrats are now famous for, not only having double standards and being hypocrites, but trying to twist and manipulate the Constitution to serve their political partisan ends rather than allowing the rule of law to serve as true, genuine justice, equal protection for all. And certainly President Trump isn't above the law, but he's not below the law either. And that's what people like Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, and the corrupt FBI want the American people to believe. This is, of course, also part of a smear campaign that has been going on for the last 6 years against President Trump just to intimidate people from voting for him, from supporting him, or even people like me who are now targets of attempts to disbar me and take away my bar license simply because I had the audacity to represent President Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, those associated with President Trump get the equivalent of the rough ride treatment from the FBI. Well, I've only got about a minute left here, Jenna. I just want to throw some names out there. Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton, Eric Swalwell, Michael Sussman. I mean, the list goes on of the individuals who have been treated with kid gloves by a clearly partisan Department of Justice and a clearly partisan FBI. Am I wrong?
Not at all. And, you know, the Department of Justice needs to rename itself the Department of Injustice, because the American people are sick and tired of seeing that equal protection doesn't truly mean that everyone is equal. Equal now only means that you are treated with respect if you have a D after your name. And if you're a Republican or a conservative, then you can guarantee that you will be attacked as a political opponent, and all of the Department of Justice and FBI resources and energy will be used to target and harass you. Look at the 87,000 IRS agents that will now be funded to attack middle-class Americans who, of course, most of them probably can't afford an attorney. This is weaponization, and the American people won't stand for it, and we need to get out and vote for every conservative, every America First candidate that's on the ballot in November.
Right, and a complete house cleaning in the Department of Justice and several government agencies, which seems to be the backlash. I think they sense that they're caught, and that's why you're seeing this strong-arm tactics to basically dissuade Americans from trying to hold Washington accountable. Jenna Ellis, thank you very much. Appreciate the time. When we come back, as you just heard, Jenna Ellis argues the FBI raid on Trump's home, well, has very little to do with presidential records. So what is it really all about? We ask former Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, Kash Patel, next. Plus, Nancy Pelosi says the FBI raid must have been justified because, you know, nobody's above the law. Hear the hypocrisy for yourself coming up. And former Chief Counsel, Senate Intelligence Committee Victoria Tunsing, and former U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Joe DeGeneva will be here to tell us what the law really says. And later on, the left's attack on Trump is highlighting, well, some problems in these United States, but also lighting a fire under his supporters. We discuss how Democrats' political games may be backfiring. Jam-packed Salcedo Show comes your way next on Newsmax.
Emergency radio. During any disaster, electrical power may get cut. The emergency radio gives you the vital information you need. Newsmax wants you to have the Dynamo Emergency Band Radio. It doesn't need batteries and works in any emergencies. It retails for $30. You can get it with the free offer. Call or go online and get the emergency radio today. Your life may depend on it.
My name is Joe. I'm born and raised in New York. I work in Manhattan near Times Square. In New York, there's just so much going on and it's very fast-paced. I always thought I was eating healthy, but I was never really eating enough fruits and vegetables. That was the one thing that I always felt that I could improve upon, but I just didn't know how to do it. So my wife and I started taking the Balance of Nature fruits and veggies. There's a lot of confusion out there. Every day it's this vitamin is good, this vitamin isn't good. It's always changing every day, every day. And what I like about Balance of Nature is you can't contradict what's in it. Everybody knows fruits and vegetables are good for you. There's never going to be a dispute over that. So with Balance of Nature, I don't have any more of that confusion. I know Balance of Nature is keeping us healthy, and we're getting our fruits and veggies every day.
Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code Newsmax.
Veteran homeowners, you made a smart move when you bought your home. Now make another one and turn your equity into cash with your VA home loan benefit. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you borrow 100% of your home's value, upgrade the kitchen, add a pool for the grandkids, or have the security of cash in the bank. With today's high home values, turning equity into cash is a really smart move.
Call 1-877-684-6756.
If time be of all things the most precious, wasting time must be the greatest indulgence. I say never leave until tomorrow that which you can do today. Today should be the day you reclaim your life and live pain-free like I do. Many great Americans have walked this very path I've walked today, and I'm so grateful that I have the ability to physically be here and share my story with you. Recently, an injury limited my ability to move, and I was experiencing a great deal of pain. Like many of you suffering from pain, I wanted a 100% drug-free solution to pain, and I found it, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is 100% drug-free and created by doctors, backed by scientific research, specifically formulated to help your body fight pain and inflammation. You truly can feel the difference. Call 1-800-4RELIEF or just go to relieffactor.com to feel the difference.
Trump did, I think, exactly what a president should do with the Department of Justice. Now, that being said, is, you know, if the president wants to meddle in the Department of Justice and its policy, you know, its prosecutions, it can, but it's to the detriment, I think, of the entire system. And so that's what I think the line that we're talking about tonight that may have been crossed by this White House is very dangerous indeed.
Yeah, and we're learning today from the White House podium, Biden's new brain actually saying that she says it's a criminal prosecution against a criminal case against Donald Trump. How does she know that? Unless the White House is talking with the Department of Justice. We'll try to turn around that soundbite for you. In the meantime, former Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker there you just saw, warning that a line has been crossed last night. The FBI's raid on Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home was a breach of trust in the justice system from which our nation may never recover. Here to weigh in is former Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, former National Security Prosecutor, lead Russiagate investigator, and author of Plot Against the King, Kash Patel. Great to see you, Kash, as always. China, they've got dictator Xi Jinping's main opposition rotting in a prison right now. In America, Team Biden appears to be aiming to do the same thing to their political opposition. When your government resembles communist China, I think you're doing it wrong. Am I right?
Great to be with you. And that about sums it up. You know, as a former federal prosecutor, a guy who was a DOJ man who worked with the FBI, but then later found out that there were so many traitors at its leadership that bent our judicial system to the whims of political leadership. I would say I'm shocked at the state of affairs that we are now in, but you are right. This is the type of stuff that happens in communist China and Russian gulags because their political dictators don't care about the law. This Biden administration has no care about the law. Merrick Garland has destroyed the Department of Justice that I cherished, and Chris Wray at the FBI prancing around Congress talking about constitutional oversight, but then jetting off to his private home in the Adirondacks instead of informing the senators that he serves and the American people that he serves that his FBI is completely rogue. To say it is communist China is putting it nicely, Chris.
Yeah, well, I got to say, he was also confronted with the fact that there seems to be political prosecution going on in the FBI, and he said, well, gee, that's troubling. And then he just, as you said, goes off on vacation. The government has not officially explained why they raided the former president's home, but dictators don't need to justify their actions, as you well know. Many people are speculating, though, about Trump's alleged handling of classified documents. But Hillary Clinton did all of her classified work on an illegal server, deleted 30,000 emails, and had the server hacked by 5 separate state actors. Yet no raid for Hillary. Does this all pass the smell test for you?
Not at all. It's a two-tier system of justice on grand display right here in America. You saw what happened to the Hillary Clinton email investigation. She actually sent and received classified information. That's a violation of federal law. It was never prosecuted. How about James Comey, the guy that exonerated her? James Comey, as FBI director, created 6 Comey memos that contained classified information, which he leaked to the public. He was never prosecuted. Now what do these hypocrites want to do? Attempt to put away Donald Trump so he never runs for president. And who's leading the charge? Again, Mark Elias and the Democrats are conjuring up these articles and these legislative statutes that don't apply to the president of the United States, because the fake news mafia will come in and do the heavy lifting like they did in Russiagate, like they did in Impeachment 1. And of course, they will turn a blind eye to the continuing criminality of Hunter Biden. This two-tier system of justice is what has America on its edge. And this might be the last missive that the fake news mafia can carry for them, because I think America is about to break.
Well, a lot of other folks are speculating that this is really an offshoot of the January 6th probe. Their public hearings are a colossal failure, not persuading anybody. So they needed to take even more desperate measures. Disgraced former New York Governor Andrew COVID Cuomo tweeting this. I was shocked. DOJ must immediately explain the reason for its raid, and it must be more than a search for inconsequential archives, or will be viewed as a political tactic and undermine any future credible investigation and legitimacy of January 6th investigations, end quote. In the realm of a stopped watch being ranked twice a day, I think Cuomo has a point here, right, Kosh?
I'm shocked to hear that coming from Andrew Cuomo, but you know what? He's better at being a political animal than he ever was a governor. And he's right. This is the boomerang that's going to come back and belt Liz Cheney, the Jan 6 Commission, Adam Schiff, Merrick Garland, Chris Race in the face and knock them down. We've been exposing the corruption at the FBI and DOJ. Now they've just put it on full blast for the world to see. And you have Democratic institutions and leadership saying this is too far. Chris, this is how we know we have arrived at that. This is their Watergate. They will go down and be fired. They will be imprisoned. And you know what? At the end of the day, it will likely be Donald Trump that pardons them when he's president in 2024 for these corrupt criminals at the top of the FBI and DOJ.
He'll pardon them. That's great. Gosh Patel, thank you very much, man. Appreciate the visit as always. Coming up, the Biden administration continuing its crisis on the southern border in the meantime. They officially ended the Remain in Mexico policy. Details on our ever-worsening border crises after the break. Plus, Joe DeGenova and Victoria Tunsing are going to be here to continue our coverage of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. It's all coming up next on Newsmax.
Hi, I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, and I'm here today to tell you about a hidden health crisis currently affecting nearly every American: sleep deprivation. And that's why you need to know about Relaxium Sleep. You see, getting a good night's sleep helps support a healthy immune system, helps maintain a healthy blood pressure, healthy cardiovascular system. Thankfully, Relaxium Sleep's formula is clinically proven to help you fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed. Relaxium's triple action formula was developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Ciliberti. It'll regulate your natural sleep cycle, relax your body, and calm the mind for better sleep through the whole night. Call today and get your very own risk-free bottle of Relaxium Sleep. Relaxium Sleep doesn't have any harmful chemicals like many prescription sleeping pills. With Relaxium Sleep, you can expect to start sleeping better the very first night. The very first night.
After being a Relaxium customer for at least 3 years now, because I'm getting a better night's sleep, it's making everything else about my life more enjoyable.
When I take Relaxium Sleep, I sleep better than I have in years.
I wake up feeling alert, like I've had the best night's sleep.
If you're like I was, and you've got trouble sleeping at night, give Relaxium Sleep a call. Get your very own risk-free bottle. Take control of your health. Stop struggling with restless nights. Sleep like you were meant to with Relaxium. Relaxium is giving away 1,000 bottles of clinically proven Relaxium sleep today. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed.
Call today for your 30-day risk-free trial and 100% money-back guarantee. Relaxium Sleep doesn't need a prescription, is 100% drug-free, and is non-habit forming. Call 800-798-4171, 800-798-4171.
Trust United Relaxium Sleep.
If you have COPD, ask your doctor about Breztri. Breztri gives me better breathing and helps prevent flare-ups. Before Breztri, I was stuck in the past. I still had bad days. Flare-ups, which kept me from doing what I love. My doctor said, for my COPD, it was time for Breztri. Breztri gives you better breathing, symptom improvement, and helps prevent flare-ups. Like no other COPD medicine, Breztri was proven to reduce flare-ups by 52%.
Breztri won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breztri more than prescribed. Breztri may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Can't afford your medication? AstraZeneca may be able to help. If you have COPD, ask your doctor about Breztri.
588-2300 Empire today.
Empire.
588-2300 Empire. 800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Hi, folks. Welcome back, everybody, to the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax. Here's what's trending at the bottom of the hour.
The president believes in the rule of law. The president believes in the independence of the Department of Justice.
That's a yes or no. Just
No,
is
that
the
is
White House.
no. It's a yes or a no for you. I'm answering the question. You may not like it, but I'm answering the question, I'm answering the question, and I'm telling you that we are not going to comment on a criminal investigation.
Okay. That is confirmation from the White House, confirming that there is a criminal investigation against former President Trump. My question is, how do they know? How is the White House colluding with the Department of Justice, coordinating with the Department of Justice on a prosecution of a former president? That would be very interesting to find out, and I think folks should be finding out right now. In the meantime, the Department of Homeland Security says it is now officially ending the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy and the migrant protection protocols, I should say. Officials will no longer send asylum seekers back across the border to await a decision on their application. DHS says the policy imposed what they say is unjustifiable human costs, whatever the hell that means, and pulls resources and personnel away from other priority efforts to secure our border. In fact, the exact opposite is true. The policy slowed illegal immigration to a trickle, and it is the Democrats' open borders policies that has relegated our highly trained Border Patrol agents to being taxpayer-funded Uber drivers and babysitters for illegal aliens. Also trending this hour, Trump-backed Washington House candidate Joe Kent is now ahead of incumbent Representative Jamie Herrera Butler in the GOP primary. Butler faced backlash for her vote to impeach President Trump after the January 6th riot. There are still thousands of ballots to be counted. We'll keep you posted. And finally, 4 more states are heading to the polls tonight for their primary elections. They are Connecticut, Vermont, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. Polls will be closing between 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern this evening. Tonight, Newsmax will have special coverage of the key primary races as polls close around the country. Join Tom Basile, Aaron Perini, and Rick Santorum. All starts at 7 o'clock Eastern, only on Newsmax. Coming up, we talk with 2 veterans in the U.S. justice system, Joe DeGeneva and Victoria Tunsing, about the raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. But first, here's your Wall Street Wrap. A day in the red for the corner of Wall and Broad. The Dow Jones 30 Industrials losing 57 points. The NASDAQ dropped 150 points, and the S&P lost 17. Here are some of the money stories moving the markets today. More than 1,000,000 flights have been delayed and 150 others have been canceled so far today. This continues frustration that passengers have been dealing with now for many, many weeks. Officials said most of the issues were caused by thunderstorms and other weather-related issues. Another major factor, though, is the airlines are still dealing with staffing problems after the pandemic. Meanwhile, most electric cars will not qualify for a federal tax credit, even though it's in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. The Senate put a tax credit up to $7,500 into the bill to try to incentivize people to buy electric cars. For the cars to qualify, the batteries and other materials have to be made in the United States. And experts say most cars will not qualify for that green credit. Oh yes, green energy efficiency. And finally, the Biden administration is putting a new rule in place that would force chickens to have access to the outdoors to earn the organic label. The Agriculture Department says that this is more for animal welfare and leveling the playing field. Opponents of this say it's going to raise the cost of eggs and poultry in the long run. And that's your Wall Street Wrap.
This country was made by tax rebels, freedom fighters, gold seekers, believers, lovers, and true patriots. We're Newsmax, and we're their heirs, and so are you. Newsmax TV, real news for real people.
Can the key to a healthier diet fit into just 6 capsules? Yes. We start by sourcing the best vine-ripened fruits and vegetables. They are then put through an advanced vacuum-cooled process, maximizing the nutritional value while preserving the color, smell, and taste of the fruit or vegetable. These are then mixed into our proprietary blends and then encapsulated, then bottled and shipped right to our customers. Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code Newsmax.
Hi, I'm Denise. I've lost over 22 pounds with Golo in 6 months, and I've kept it off for over a year. I was skeptical about Golo in the beginning because I've tried so many different types of diet products before. I've tried detox, I've tried teas, I've tried all different types of pills, so I was skeptical about anything working because it never did. But look what Golo has done. Look what it has done. I'm in a size 4 pair of pants. Go Golo.
This is a Camp Lejeune legal alert. Attention veterans and families impacted by toxic water at Marine Base Camp Lejeune. Important legal rights are now available for those who lived or served at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. If you suffered an injury that may be caused by water contamination, call 1-800-470-2696 or visit youhavealawyer.com for a free case evaluation. For over 30 years, Marines and their family members were exposed to toxic chemicals in Camp Lejeune water. The VA has acknowledged that exposure to these chemicals can cause a number of serious health conditions, including cancer, birth defects, Parkinson's disease, liver damage, and other illnesses. A new law now allows victims of Camp Lejeune water contamination to obtain financial compensation for their injuries, even if benefits were denied in the past. However, there is a limited time to file a claim. Find out if you qualify. Call 1-800-470-2696 or visit youhavealawyer.com. That's 1-800-470-2696.
Lately, we've gone from America first to America last. Crime, illegal immigration, inflation, a pathetically weak foreign policy are ruining the fabric of America. In fact, this patio in New York is about the only place I feel safe in the city.
Where do investors turn in perilous times to protect themselves from all the uncertainty? Gold. 2022 is the year that we have seen Americans move out of risk assets like crypto and the stock market and into safe haven assets like gold and silver.
Since 2021, Patriot Gold Group has offered the no-fee for life IRA for qualifying rollovers. So isn't it time you gave the Patriot Gold Group a call and they gave you some protection?
Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 1-800-778-4156. Call now.
With Realtor.com's home alerts, we found our new desert home really fast. And us cacti aren't exactly known for our speed.
Mainly because we don't have legs.
You work with what you have.
Realtor.com, to each their home.
I don't really have too much to say except that to have a visit like that, you need a warrant. To have a warrant, you need justification. And that says that no one is above the law, not even a president or a former president of the United States. When I was a little girl, I was told at the beach if I dug a hole deep enough, we would reach China. So we've always felt a connection there.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, part of a bottomless pit of hypocrisy, and of course, her airheaded digging to China story is just the cherry on top. The FBI's unprecedented raid of the former president's home raises questions about our government's standard of justice or lack thereof. Here to weigh in is former Chief Counsel for Senate Intelligence Committee and Senior Justice Department official Victoria Tunsing. Also with us is former U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., Newsmax contributor, Chief Counsel for the Senate Rules Committee, and former independent counsel Joe DeGeneva. Hey, guys, great to see you as always. Victoria, we'll begin with you. The FBI still has not officially disclosed what they're looking for at Trump's home, though the official word from the White House is that this is a criminal investigation. We just played that soundbite here moments ago. This seems to be the rough ride treatment Republicans and Trump supporters get from this FBI leadership. Am I wrong, Victoria?
Oh, you're exactly right. And how Nancy Pelosi can say there has to be justification. Does she remember a FISA warrant against Carter Page that had lies in its justification to the court? There are two documents. There was the search warrant, and that tells what items are to be seized. And then there's the backup affidavit, which says, God, in this case, why documents were going to be destroyed, for goodness sake. We don't know that. It hasn't been made public. So Pelosi has no understanding whatsoever if it's justified.
Joe, I want you to comment on two things. First off, the word coming from the White House podium from Biden's new brain saying that this is a criminal investigation. Number one, how does the White House know? I mean, should they know that information? And then whistleblowers inside the FBI are telling congressional offices that the FBI is politically compromised. Can you talk about those two bits of the story?
Well, I'm going to give the president's new mouthpiece a little bit of credit. A search warrant is, in fact, a function of a criminal investigation. You go to a magistrate and you claim that certain criminal laws have been violated. So there's no doubt that a criminal investigation is underway. The justification for it appears to be pretextual. It appears to be an outrageous abuse of the criminal process by the FBI and the Biden Justice Department. Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray have degraded both of the institutions that they run to a new level. What is amazing to me is that if this is about classified documents and worried about what was there, they could have gotten all this information with a subpoena. They did this not because they wanted the information. They wanted to embarrass the former president and to intimidate him. They're certainly not going to intimidate him because he has lawyers, and ultimately this will be fought out. But regrettably, it's very clear to me that after all that's been happening, that this Justice Department intends to indict former President Trump. I don't know what their theory is going to be, but that's what my fear is.
But this is a pattern, Chris. I mean, this has gone on. They searched our house. They didn't search it. They came with a search warrant for my information, of client information from a lawyer, when they could have issued a subpoena for information about what they called a FARA violation. And here's another theme that is concerning, and that is the department making conduct criminal that was never criminal in the past. When I was in charge of FARA, when I was Deputy Assistant Attorney General, we didn't prosecute. We went to the person's house and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, you got to register," and then most of the time they did. The conduct about establishing the alternate electors. That was never criminal. It's been in our history. And now the Washington Post calls them fake electors and tells people that there's a criminal investigation of the people who signed up to do that. This is very frightening. Conduct that we took for granted, that we did here in Washington, D.C. as a part of politics, is now criminal conduct.
All right, only got about 90 seconds left. I want you both to comment on this. Hunter Biden's laptop and the hard drive has been the most copied hard drive in history. When Rudy Giuliani's home was raided, the FBI saying they wanted all of his electronic devices. You guys remember the warrant, right? And he said, here you go. You forgot this one. And the FBI agent said, well, what is this? He said, it's a copy of the Hunter Biden hard drive. and that the FBI wanted nothing to do with it. I want you both, and Joe, you first, comment on how the FBI seems to be selectively prosecuting crime.
Well, there's no doubt about it that there are two standards of justice. Chris, you've aptly outlined it today. And that is that if you're a Republican, you get the book thrown at you. And that if you're a Democrat, you get a pass. Nothing could be more obvious than the way Hillary Clinton and her staff were treated in the investigation into her illegal private server, upon which was put illegally, criminally classified information. There's just no doubt that the FBI has been compromised and is now basically an illegal sewer.
The search for Rudy was the same day as the search for me, supposedly of something FARA dealing with Ukraine. But I can tell you what we had with Ukraine, talking to potential whistleblowers for representation because we wanted to tell.
Dad, which one's your favorite?
I'm gonna go with Josh.
Yes. I'm sorry, what? I was talking about the types of chicken.
Come on, you know I love all my chickens. He is a really sweet kid, though.
Did you just fist bump?
Do you feel like the way you clean your ears at home doesn't work well enough? I felt the same way. But then I tried the WaxRx ear wash system. WaxRx was designed by a doctor and is the same system used in medical clinics. The reusable WaxRx system has everything you need to effectively remove earwax at home without the inconvenience of a doctor's visit.
You should use the doctor-trusted WaxRx ear wash system. You can get it now at Walgreens and Walmart today.
I'm Terry Rakovich, co-founder and CEO of Jinx, and this is my rescue pup, Blitz. Several years ago, we were in a pretty horrific car accident. The injury was so significant, it left him paralyzed. Because he needed so much assistance, we needed a food that would work for him. We tried everything. After exhausting all of our options, we decided to make our own. Blitz is a fish lover, so he really enjoys our salmon recipe. Even at 12 years old, Blitz is able to keep up with his younger brother and go on hikes. I'm excited for your pup to try it.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
This is keratin debris, where nail fungus thrives. Nonex Nail Gel cleans out keratin debris, taking the fungus with it. With Nonex, 90% of nails improve. Buy Nonex at Walgreens, Walmart, Rite Aid, and CVS.
The other side is at war. For people who are still thinking like we're back in 1987, where you've got a bunch of G-men following things by the book, no, that's not where we are. We are so far past that, Chris. This is such a dangerous, dark moment for the country, for all of us who are wrong thinkers.
Former Trump official Monica Crowley on my radio program this morning, warning about the unprecedented nature of the FBI's raid on President Trump's private home at Mar-a-Lago and the dire consequences for our nation. Our next guest says we have truly entered uncharted territory, and we're dealing with the stuff of a banana republic. Dick Morris is the host of Dick Morris Democracy, former advisor to Presidents Clinton and Trump, author of The Return, Trump's Big 2024 Comeback. Dick, welcome back. From 10,000 feet up, just how bad is what happened?
It's horrible, and it's unprecedented. It's a disaster. It's everything everybody says it is. It's the descent into tyranny. But I have some thoughts on that I'd like to share with you. I believe that the Justice Department is headed toward an indictment of Donald Trump. Eric Holder predicted that earlier today, and I think he knows what he's talking about. I think that's where all of this is headed. And the purpose of the indictment will not be to punish him for anything he did, because they know they have no case, but because they want to invoke the 14th Amendment, which prohibits people who were involved in insurrection against the United States from running for public office. What happened was that after the Civil War, when the Confederate States got readmitted to the Union, they began to elect senators and congressmen who were generals in the Confederate Army or officials in the Confederate government, including the Vice President of the Confederacy, Alexander Stephens. And the Republican leadership in the House and Senate were appalled. So they added on to the 14th Amendment provision saying that if you were in insurrection against the government, you cannot hold public office, a public federal office. And that is in the 14th Amendment. So they're going to try to say that Trump's conduct on January 6th was an insurrection against the government, and therefore he can be barred from running for president. And I think that is their strategy. They're also hoping that if he's indicted, he'll lose the Republican nomination or the election. I believe that what will happen is that the indictment, if it comes down, will be thrown out. What? Will be thrown out.
No, I just wanted you to finish your thought there.
That the Supreme Court will rule that the 14th Amendment does not apply in this case. And I think that Trump, even if he's indicted, will be nominated and elected president, even if he is indicted, because the public will see this as totally phony. So that's my sort of clairvoyant.
Well, that's exactly what. Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go with this. The FBI must have known, and all these people planning this must have known the raid is only going to galvanize the Trump base. That's what you're observing. Since the FBI leadership is partisan left, do you think they did this to try to make, I don't know, Trump the issue in 2022 rather than Joe Biden's multiple crises and failures?
No, they know that in 22 it'll backfire, and they know that they're not going to win public opinion over it. But what they are trying to do is to lay the groundwork for indicting Trump. And that's a long process. It'll take a little while. But remember, the grand jury that might indict Trump is a fix. There was some prosecutor, I think, said that Sandler, I think, from Long Island, said a prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich. And in Washington, D.C., which is a totally democratic city, he certainly can. And I think that there is no such thing as a grand jury system in D.C. They just ratify the thing the AG suggests if it's against a Republican. So that's what I think.
Okay, America's adversaries are also watching what's happening as well. Chinese official who threatened to shoot down Pelosi's plane tweeting, "Interesting, the whole world is watching how the current administration is discrediting the former president and depriving him of an equal right to run in 2024's election." You know, we saw how Russia reacted after Afghanistan. What do you think Putin and Xi are thinking about this FBI raid and how the Biden administration is resembling pretty much what they do in their countries?
I think they are hoping that Trump doesn't run again or is defeated, because they know damn well that if he does, the jig is up, because Trump is not going to sit by and let Russia take over Ukraine or China take over Taiwan. And I think they're scared to death of a Trump victory.
Dick Morris, thank you very much. Appreciate the time, as always. President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago has been raided by the FBI. Kimberly Guilfoyle joins Spicer and Company to discuss that. It's coming up at 5 o'clock right after this program. Don't you miss it. Still ahead. As if the situation couldn't get any worse, the person supposedly running the show can't even manage to put on his own jacket without assistance. Yeah. Be right back. We'll show you the whole video next.
Did you know color is vital to your health? I'm not talking about the color of the walls in your house or your car or your clothes. I'm talking about the color of the food you eat. A colorful diet is a part of staying well because many nutrients are color. Eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables provides your body with diverse chemistry it needs to heal itself and stay well. Color, taste, and smell keep you well, and that's what you get with Balance of Nature.
Start now by going to balanceofnature.com and don't forget to use discount code Newsmax.
Veteran homeowners, I have 100 great reasons why you should use your VA home loan benefit to take cash out of your home. The New Day 100 VA loan lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value. With today's rates near all-time lows and home values at record highs, you could take out $60,000 or more and lower your payments by $600 a month. The New Day 100 VA loan, only from New Day USA.
Call 1-844-934-2558.
I'm Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, and I'm here with my wonderful wife of almost 50 years, Janet, and our puppies.
Over the years, we've learned to make a marriage work, you need love.
Respect.
And most importantly,
a good night's sleep.
Mike had real difficulty getting to sleep and staying asleep until he started taking Relaxium Sleep.
For years now, we both fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up refreshed every morning. It's made life a whole lot better. And since Relaxium Sleep's formula is so safe and effective, there's no issue how often we take it. Clinically proven Relaxium Sleep's triple action formula was developed by renowned neurologist and sleep expert Dr. Eric Ciliberti to regulate your natural sleep cycle, relax your body, and calm the mind for better sleep through the whole night. We love the sleep that we're getting with Relaxium Sleep.
And we continue to recommend it to family and friends who tell us how it's changed their life.
Relaxium is so confident that it'll work for you, they're going to give you a bottle of Relaxium Sleep absolutely risk-free for 30 days.
After being a Relaxium customer for at least 3 years now, because I'm getting a better night's sleep, it's making everything else about my life more enjoyable.
When I take Relaxium Sleep, I sleep better than I have in years.
I wake up feeling alert, like I've had the best night's sleep.
With Relaxium Sleep, I'm so happy I'm going to use the product forever, for life.
Change your sleep tonight so you can change your life tomorrow with Relaxium Sleep.
Call now. Relaxium is giving away 1,000 bottles of clinically proven Relaxium Sleep today. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake refreshed.
Call today for your 30-day risk-free trial and 100% money-back guarantee. Relaxium Sleep doesn't need a prescription, is 100% drug-free, and is non-habit-forming. Call 800-960-3799, 800-960-3799.
Trust United Relaxium Sleep.
Diamonds, the jewelry exchange, has thousands, all at the guaranteed lowest price. 1 carat white SI quality GIA diamonds are just $29.90, plus killer prices on designer mounts set while you watch. Buy Factory Direct and save. The Jewelry Exchange Direct.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity.
Hey, wait!
Now it's easy to help protect yourself. Identity theft protection starts here at LifeLock.com.
Another awkward, kind of embarrassing video showing how feeble the current occupier of the Oval Office is. Happened just after Biden stepped off Marine One in flood-ravaged Kentucky. Biden tries to put on his jacket. Can't quite get there, so he needs Jill, his wife, to step in and help him. Also ends up dropping his signature aviator sunglasses in the entire process, too. Huh? That's just terrible, isn't it? Finally, CBS News was forced to retract a portion of their documentary about the flow of weapons to Ukraine. The original report claiming only 30% of the weapons sent to the Ukrainians actually made it to the front lines. CBS said they removed the tweet because of the nonprofit tracking the flow of weapons, told the network the situation had improved. So it wasn't wrong, it just maybe was dated, okay? Then there's fallout and outrage over the FBI's decision to raid the home of President Trump. What does this mean for the country? Eric Trump is going to join Greg Kelly tonight at 10 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. And this, my friends, Mitch McConnell, moments ago.
What is your reaction to the FBI raid yesterday at Mar-a-Lago?
I'm here today to talk about the flood and the recovery from the flood.
Sir, you were in Western Kentucky in December.
Wow. Even in the face of a partisan attack from folks who shouldn't be making partisan attacks, Mitch McConnell can't bring himself to defend against that. Let's bring in Sean Spicer. Sean, you want to get a reaction? Mitch, I mean, every other senator out there and politician has weighed in on this. Mitch McConnell staying silent, that tells me volumes.
I think Nancy Pelosi had more to say about it than he did, frankly. You know, this is not something that should be restricted to people who support or Donald Trump or not. I mean, what we saw yesterday is unprecedented, and I think even panelists on CNN today said that this is very shocking. So I'm sort of taken back by the lack of comment on this. Again, I know that they have their issues, but this is something that should concern every conservative, every American. It's noticeable.
Yeah, his own senators Grassley and Johnson and Cruz have been raising a stink about what's been going on in the Department of Justice, and Mitch McConnell doesn't seem to give a damn. A man who was so about the institution, as you know. Hey, what do you have coming up on the big show tonight?
I mean, we are going to break this down like you wouldn't believe. We've got Rudy Giuliani. Aside from being Trump's lawyer, he was the U.S. attorney in New York, so he knows how these things go down. Kimberly Guilfoyle, obviously in close with the family, but also a former federal prosecutor. Congressman Mike Turner, the top top Republican on the Intelligence Committee. And then we've got a panel of former FBI agents. So we are looking at this from every single angle. You are not going to want to miss the next hour of television.
Right on, right on. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Chris Salcedo Show. We'll see you tomorrow, Sean. Join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow, when we break down today's big news story, Spicer and Company, as you heard, they have a great show coming up. FBI agents, former FBI agents. I can't wait to see what they think about what's going on at the Bureau. Have a great night, everybody. Back here tomorrow on Newsmax.
Good Tuesday night. There's a lot of news coming out of Washington tonight. It is primary night. We're going to get to all of it tonight. Welcome to Spicer and Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Lindsay Keith. As you discussed, Sean, there is so much to get to. And it's primary night, as you mentioned. Our political panel, Jim McLaughlin and Tom Bevan, are standing by to break down all the key races that you need to keep your eyes on this evening.
Yeah, plus we're going to get to the big Mar-a-Lago story. But Texas Governor Greg Abbott, in another story, is promising to send more migrants out of Texas into Democratic-run sanctuary cities in response to President Biden's failed immigration policies. Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who was just in Central America, he's shining a light on Biden's broken border. He's going to join us with what he saw down there and give us his take.
That's right, but our top story this evening is the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. Here's what we do know right now. Approximately 30 plainclothes FBI agents raided former President Trump's Palm Beach residence yesterday morning at 9 a.m. And Trump was in New York at the time of that raid. It was related to documents, we think, that Trump took from the White House when he left office that may have been classified, Sean.
Yeah, back in February, the National Archives said at least 15 boxes of White House records were recovered from Trump's home there at Mar-a-Lago, including some that they claim were classified. Justice Department officials have not issued a statement about the raid, neither has the FBI.
And it is interesting to note who knew what when. Secret Service was apparently notified the night before the raid. And it happened in the morning hours, as I mentioned, at 9 a.m. But the news didn't break till around 7 p.m. So after our show yesterday, and the Biden White House says that they found out, Sean, on social media. I mean, that's the shocker.
Yeah, Corinne Jean-Pierre went out later today and doubled down on that, saying, nope, we didn't know. We're going to be covering all the angles on this unprecedented raid throughout the show. Former Mayor and U.S. Attorney Rudy Giuliani is standing by. He represented President Trump. Ohio Congressman Mike Turner, he's the top intelligence Republican on that committee. He'll be here. He just sent a letter to FBI Director Chris Wray. He's asking for an immediate briefing with the House Intelligence Committee. Plus, we'll speak to two former FBI agents for their take on how raids like this go down. And senior advisor for the Trump re-election campaign, Kimberly Guilfoyle. All of them are on deck.
All right, but first, let's bring in former New York City mayor and former Trump attorney who was also a U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, welcome to the show. It's good to see you this evening. Such an interesting development that we saw last night. The FBI also raided your home back in April of 2021. And just want to get your take, since this has happened to you, I mean, give us a sense of what the process is like. I mean, how did you find out? How did the FBI leave your home? Was it in shambles, or did they leave it as they found it?
No, actually, they were civilized in the way they did it. But there were about 8 of them, and I have a fairly large apartment, but not that large, so 8 is a lot. And they had a warrant for all the electronics they could find in the apartment. So it took them about 2 hours to do that. They wouldn't take my help in showing them where they were. They had to do it themselves. And then when it was all over, and they were, I wouldn't say apologetic, but close to apologetic. And when it was all over, they lined up all the electronics, and I started telling them, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. That's a friend of mine who left it here. That's my ex-wife. It's been sitting in the closet for 5 years. But they took all of them anyway. At the very end, there were two big, not big, but things about this big, electronics. I said, you surely want that. That's the only incriminating stuff here. Those are the 2 hard drives of Hunter Biden, one with the child pornography and one without. But I'll give you both. They said, oh, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. They said, well, I don't know why you wouldn't want it. It's the warrant calls for all electronics. I mean, a third of what you got are my friends, not even me. You're going to have to give them back to me. But they were just really funny. I mean, it was like the poor kids were scared. Oh, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Wow. Unbelievable. So I want to get to the legal part of what happened at Mar-a-Lago last night. Put your U.S. attorney hat back on and explain to us the threshold that the FBI would have had to have met to get a warrant to raid the home of a former president.
Yeah, I mean, the threshold obviously is very, very high, Sean. It's never been done before. So immediately, if you have any knowledge of American history or any sense of world politics, you realize you're doing something very significant here. You're having a president go after his predecessor, which in America we have avoided for very, very important reasons, because this is what happens in a communist state, a Nazi state, and this is what happens in a banana republic that becomes a dictatorship. I mean, it's common to go after your predecessor and their people and put them in jail. Well, we've avoided that for, 2 centuries. So this is a heck of a thing they've done, much more significant than you realize. Now, to do it with a judge magistrate is really shocking. I mean, this was not signed by a federal judge, an Article 3 judge appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate with lifetime tenure. This was done by the assistants they appoint to help them. This particular guy, by the way, left the U.S. Attorney's Office and went to work immediately for Jeffrey Epstein. He was paid a lot of money by Jeffrey Epstein. during that very funny investigation that, some people thought was a fix. And then also got in trouble. There was a civil case against him for unethical behavior, using inside information. He donated to Obama. So when people give a lot of credit to the fact that, well, a judge signed this, number one, it's not a judge. It's a magistrate judge, not an Article 3 judge. Number two, it's a judge with somewhat of a checkered history and a question as to his bias. And number three, they also signed the phony FISA warrants 4 times that probably don't contain a single thing that's true in them. So, I mean, the FBI stopped.
Is that normal though? But when like a normal raid happens, would you go to what? I didn't know the difference here. Would a normal thing go through an Article 3 judge? Is this out of the normal?
Yeah, any important case when I was U.S. attorney, I took to an Article 3 judge. Like, we had numerous wiretaps on the mafia. We broke into their homes, we broke into their offices, we broke into their cars. They were all supervised by Article 3 judges. If it were a small matter, a 2-day matter, a 3-day matter, well, you'd go to a magistrate judge. But if it was a very significant case, you wanted to ensure there were no mistakes, because these things, if they get struck down, your whole case goes. So you want to make sure you've got a judge with a heck of a reputation that signed it to impress the appellate court. So this was a very strange decision from Maine Justice, not going to an Article 3 judge, and also going to somebody with his background.
So the Department of Justice hasn't come out and said why exactly they're doing this. Speculation over classified information that the Presidential Records Act requires the president to turn in. They're saying that he didn't, these 15 boxes that are there. So let's just say if President Trump violated the Presidential Records Act in some way, is that enough to warrant this type of raid?
The Presidential Records Act contains no criminal penalty. There's a criminal penalty for knowingly and willfully destroying records, concealing records, changing records. So it wouldn't be a mistake in taking a classified record, or they'd have to show that somehow he was trying to hide it, somehow he concealed it, somehow he changed it. Then that would have a criminal penalty. It would also disqualify him from ever running for public office, except that part of the law has been held unconstitutional. So I know a lot of Democrats are licking their lips thinking they can convict him of that and he won't run. But the courts that have dealt with that have said it's unconstitutional. And it's pretty clearly unconstitutional. The Constitution, and only the Constitution, sets the qualifications for a president. Congress can't change those. They can't add qualifications or reduce qualifications. They've got to get a constitutional amendment to do that. So being convicted of something, the Constitution says nothing about that. So this is the usual Biden illegal, beyond the Constitution, trashing the Constitution, trashing the Bill of Rights. And I have no doubt that the affidavit contains false statements. Because in the last 4 years, I haven't seen an honest affidavit from the FBI. It is, you know how you used to be able to trust the FBI and presume that what they did was honest when I work with them? Now you go just the other way. I mean, these are the same people who gave us totally false FISA affidavits that they knew were false. We now know.
Right. Mayor, we're out of time, but you're the perfect person to ask this question to, so I apologize that it's yes or no. But there's a lot of questions about how high this would have had to get signed off on. So if you were the U.S. attorney, how high would something like this have to have gotten signed off on?
Well, I would have spoken to the Attorney General. I wouldn't have done it any other way. I think any U.S. attorney would have. Maybe the Deputy Attorney General if you can't get him. And I would expect, I mean, I was a chief of staff to an Attorney General. So I would tell the President. Of course I'd tell the President. The President should be informed if an ex-president is going to be. Now, if I don't know if the President will remember, but I would imagine he was informed.
Yeah, and Karine Jean-Pierre out today saying that he wasn't. So very interesting.
Well, maybe he might not remember.
Mr. Mayor, well, that's true. Rudy Giuliani, Mr. Mayor, good to see you this evening. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. You do a great job, guys.
Thank you very much. Well, coming up, Republicans are demanding answers from the FBI on this unprecedented raid that we've been discussing on former President Trump's home. Our next guest sent a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray demanding an immediate briefing. Ohio Congressman Mike Turner joins us next. with an update. Don't go away.
Washington want your wealth, and they're raising taxes to do it. But now you can stop them by creating a guaranteed stream of tax-free income that they can't touch. In the new book, Tax-Free Income for Life, best-selling author David McKnight shows you how you can lock in guaranteed tax-free income that will last as long as you do. Whether you have more than $1 million saved or less than $100,000 set aside for your golden years, you can enjoy tax-free income for life. Get your free copy today. Supplies are limited, so act now.
I am Joanne Gastineau. My husband is Mark Gastineau, former number 99 New York Jets. Mark had gotten diagnosed with sports-related dementia. I'm his nurse, his caretaker. That's a 24-hour job, and if I'm not healthy, I won't